Alright, ladies and gentlemen, well, it's not often that I make a serious video on my channel, especially, well, I've made one video, I think, complaining about Blizzard. But I just got done watching the 2001 BlizzCon, basically where they announced, like, Diablo 2 remastered. Believe it or not, I spend a lot of time theory crafting on Diablo 2, so I have to make some Diablo 2 videos. The Diablo 2 community doesn't know how to do Paladin right, which is kind of fascinating. I never made a video because I never bothered. It wasn't a big deal. Okay, so apparently they don't have any plans for fresh Classic WoW servers because they didn't mention anything about it. And this has triggered me so badly that I'm going to actually end up making a pretty serious video today. There will likely be swearing. Actually, there's definitely going to be a lot of swearing. There's also going to be probably some weird philosophical stuff and some probably some weird philosophical sexual metaphors, because that's just something I'm into when I actually talk about philosophy. All right, so for those of you who don't really engage with my channel too much, just know that my professional background is I'm a socio-political economic philosopher. And I just happen to like digging into game mechanics and stuff, you know, figuring out, you know, Paladin, Diablo 2 type stuff, yada, yada, yada. I'm also an aspiring game designer, so I'm coming out with a game this year that's going to be released on Steam. So, you know, I know a thing or two. Okay, so my issue with Blizzard here that I've had for many, many years, and I'm actually just sick and tired of it. I'm sick and tired of this issue with Blizzard. Maybe I'll start with the issue with Blizzard before I get into this what Stay Safe says in this video here that also triggered me that is super relevant. Is basically Blizzard is really bad at game design, and they're really bad at game design from like a what their player base wants perspective. So it's like they have their own little clique at Blizzard. Like from what I can tell, over at Blizzard, they have their own little fucking clique over there, and their clique likes certain things about the game, and then they put those things in the game, and then they can't understand why entire chunks of the WoW player base basically leave and or revolt. It was basically, okay, you follow me on this? To top that all off, we saw a lot of that player base that left retail, that did not play retail, such as myself, come back for Classic WoW. Because Classic WoW has certain elements in it that we absolutely adore and that actually cater to us. When you move from Classic WoW to TBC, all right, I'm going to go into detail on this, but when you move from Classic WoW to TBC, a lot of those details for a lot of the things that we love about Classic WoW disappear. Okay? This is why we keep playing on private servers. We keep playing fresh private servers over and over again, year after year after year, is because we can't really find any other game that scratches that particular itch, if you're following me on this. And so to watch BlizzCon 2021 and to see that they're coming out with TBC, they're making these legacy servers, which are basically just they're literally retirement homes for your Classic WoW character. The RPers will love it. Don't get me wrong. There's a certain player base. I understand the player base exists that is absolutely happy about the fact that exists. I'm super happy for them that they have their own little rest home, private official servers that they can keep their characters on. Awesome. No complaints whatsoever. The problem is, though, that if you don't have a fresh Classic WoW server, you're losing people like me in TBC. Like, the player base such as myself will not go to TBC. And this is, I've been talking to other players like Peaceblade, like Talrain, like Drakova, other classic people who love Classic WoW that do not like TBC. Likely a lot of subscribers to my channel and my content. We're not into it. And the problem has to do with this. Let me pull up a different one here. Let me find, because I was doing a lot of theory crafting. Where are you? Okay, here. All right, so I looked through all the gear available from cloth, leather, rings, belts, amulets, you know, whatever, plate. I looked at all the trinkets, all the gear options available in classic TBC, and it is a shallow puddle. It is a fucking pool compared to the ocean of complexity of option that is present in classic WoW as far as gear itemization is concerned. When I broke down the gear in classic TBC, what I found was that the puddle, the depth of the puddle is basically limited to here, right? And certain gear that exists in classic World of Warcraft, like this list here is, if I made one for classic WoW, it would be like 3 or 4 times longer. There are all kinds of different stats and shit all over the place in the classic WoW gearing scene, which is what Stay Safe is going to talk about, and I'm going to respond to him in a second. You are in TBC, you are extraordinarily pigeonholed in your gear. All right, number one, you're extraordinarily pigeonholed in your gear. So you move from classic WoW, which is an ocean of gear and an ocean of possibility and an ocean of complexity, into being super itemized and super pigeonholed in TBC. It wouldn't be so bad if the gear in TBC was super itemized, right? That's fine. The problem is that you're super pigeonholed into the gear as is. So, for example, if you're sticking to just plate gear in TBC, your options are literally, hey, do you want to heal? Hey, do you want to do some spell power and crit? And hey, do you want to just be like a warrior, but you're a paladin? And then there's no other options. Like, there's literally no tier 2 gear. Like, the items and the stats that exist on a tier 2 set piece in classic WoW does not exist in TBC. The itemization that exists on rank gear in classic WoW for paladins does not exist in TBC. The itemization that exists on Vengers, where, you know, you got like melee stats, you got critical strike. Dude, this thing has spell power. Like, what the fuck? It's this jack of all trades, well-rounded gear set that does not exist in TBC. And what's worse is I cannot find gear in TBC to replicate it. So when I look at cloth, I cannot replicate Avengers. When I look at leather, I cannot replicate Avengers. When I look at mail, I cannot replicate Avengers. When I look at all the gear put together, I cannot bring back to life tier 2 in classic WoW, and I cannot bring back to life tier Avengers, tier 2.5 in TBC. All right. So, just in case I don't ramble, allow me to describe the type of player base that I am, that you are effectively losing going from classic World of Warcraft to TBC, and that you would retain if you had fresh classic WoW servers. All right, before I get too deep into this, let me explain. Okay, so the type of player base that I am is the type of player base who, what tickles our fancy, what makes us really happy in a game is to have a very deep amount of game depth. Like, take League of Legends as a primary example. There's not a lot of depth in the buttons that you're pushing. There's technically not a lot of depth of, quote, skill in League of Legends compared to what you can see in, say, retail, for example. You know, you've only got like 4 buttons in League of Legends. There we go. But what you do have is you have an ocean of gear and possibilities. There's all different kinds of scenarios that you can run into, and you're left to figure it out yourself. There isn't like gear in the game that is only available to this specific class. So it's not like I jump in League of Legends as Udyr and I'm only allowed to pick like melee-based gear or the spell power-based gear. It's like, oh, like 2/3 of the gear, yeah, that's not for you, therefore you can't pick it. No, they're like, they literally sit you down in an ocean of possibility and say, I don't know, you figure it out. And that's what tickles my particular player base's fancy. Does that make sense? So in Classic World of Warcraft, you have that in spades. Specifically, you have that in spades in PvP. Now, in PvE, you may not have that in spades because people have actually mathed it out, but then some people really enjoy, you know, trying to challenge the fact that the PvE stuff has been mapped out. But the PvP stuff is like, holy crap, there are way too many weird factors going in there. And then we enter TBC, and everything is super itemized. You're losing entire gear sets. Like, let me go back here, right? These are your only possibilities. There's no Avenger gear. There's no, like, stamina, strength, intellect, spell power. That doesn't exist. And the end result of this, at least from a PvP perspective, is, let's talk about Classic WoW. Or, no. Let's jump over to Stay Safe. Okay, so we're going to do the Stay Safe thing. Trying to keep this somewhat non-rambling. So Stay Safe is about to say something that is 110,000% correct for TBC as far as PvE content is concerned. But as far as PvP content is concerned, he's dead fucking wrong. Okay? And this actually pissed me off enough when I heard Stay Safe say this that I wanted to make a rant video the other day. But I was like, yeah, whatever. It's not that big of a deal. You know, maybe I'll talk about it later, blah, blah, blah. But then, no fresh Classic WoW servers, and I'm so we're malding over here. So let's go. So what he's about to say is...
Well, dude, nothing makes you more excited for TBC than having just spent 2 years playing vanilla. That's the fact. All the itemization, all the weird itemization that you're like, why'd they do this? This is stupid itemization. It's fixed in TBC. Half the specs, half the classes being unviable, or half the specs being unviable in vanilla, fixed in TBC, right? Having a PvP system that isn't complete dog shit, fixed in TBC. Like, it's all of your no world buffs, all of your complaints about vanilla are pretty much fixed in TBC. TBC is a very, very good successor to vanilla.
Rollbacks, you name it.
He'll go on to say something about what is it? How people wanted, like, Classic Plus and stuff like that. And he's like, no, dude, no. See, TBC is Classic Plus because all this stuff is fixed. Now, he is 100% correct when I look at things from a PvE perspective. Like, this statement is correct from a PvE perspective. Things like Protection Paladin just don't really work in TBC, I mean in Classic WoW, but then they're fixed in TBC. Moonkins are fixed in TBC. There's a bunch of other specs that are fixed in TBC. Oh, Ret Paladin is fixed in TBC, at least as far as PvE is concerned. Right? As far as PvE is concerned, there's a lot to love about going into TBC, which is why, if you're part of that particular player base that likes the PvE content and you want, like, you know, you wanted to play your Prot Paladin, you want to play your Ret Paladin, you wanted to play your Boomkin or whatever, you're a happy camper going into TBC. They're not losing that player base. But let's look at what happened to a PvPer in TBC, and we're going to look at it from a Paladin's perspective. Holy fuck. I've been on Endless, on the Endless private server, and when you log into the Endless private server, you can get on, and you walk up to the guy, and it's like, hey, I want to be level 70, and I want an arena set. And I actually get to see how many different arena sets there are. So Stay Safe, for example, keep it on Stay Safe over here. Stay Safe, for example, is a Warlock, right? Well, okay, so let's take Warlock, for example, before we go into into the whole Paladin thing. The TLDR of the Paladin thing is that there are actually eight viable PvP specs in Classic World of Warcraft, and when you jump over to TBC, there's fucking two. From 8 to 2. And it all has to do primarily with the fact that your gearing options went as far as PvP is concerned. They give you the gear to do 3 fucking things. You're going to be a Super Protection Paladin, which is completely useless in PvP. You're going to be a Holy Shock Paladin, which is viable in PvP. And then you're going to be only one variant of Deep Ret Paladin, when there are actually, like, 2 variants of Deep Retribution Paladins, and one of them died a horrible death going to TBC. So let's talk about Warlock. Okay, so Warlock specs in Classic World of Warcraft, there are 3 viable PvP Warlock specs, right? You could be a Soul Link Warlock. You're not super good in BGs. but you are a dueling god, right? So Soul Link Warlock in duels, you're a monster, an absolute fucking monster. Destro Warlock, not so good in duels, or not surprisingly if you know anything about them, but absolute monsters in BGs. When they got some meat between them and the enemy, Destro Warlocks are absolute face munchers in classic BGs. Affliction Warlock is also really good in BGs, and it's actually pretty decent in duels, believe it or not. I imagine, and Stay Safe would know this better than me, to be perfectly honest, but I imagine that the Affliction Warlock is significantly better on the side of the Alliance than it is on the Horde, because the Horde don't have a lot of cleanses, but they got a lot of purges. And with the Alliance, actually don't have a lot of purges, but they have a lot of cleanses. So if you're trying to be an Affliction Warlock over a Destro Warlock in a BG type environment in PvP, if you're the Horde side, it's not going to work too well because they got a lot of cleanses. But if you're Alliance side, the Horde is already super stressed out for cleansing in general. So Affliction Warlock is probably really good, and the Alliance playstyle in BGs is more rope-a-dope. They're actually trying to survive the insane offense capability of the Horde, and if they can survive it, then they will sustain their way to victory, and Affliction Warlock fits in there quite perfectly. Okay. Flash forward to TBC. You don't have 3 viable specs. And mind you, there's a bunch of weird little niche specs for Warlock that are probably also viable in TBC. I mean, in Classic WoW that are not viable in TBC. When you go to TBC, there's only one fucking Warlock spec, and that's SLSL. I think it's like Soul Link something else. I'm not sure. But it's only one viable spec. Now, one of the reasons for the death of the other 2 specs is you go from it being a honor grind based PvP system, like Stay Safe says, like you have a shitty PvP system that's fixed in TBC. It kind of. What ends up happening, however, is because it's all about the arena and it's about your climbing the brackets in arena, you cannot afford to be lacking in optimization, right? So any spec that is not the tippy top of optimization will not make the cut in an arena comp in TBC, and therefore it dies a horrible death. And I'll give you a good example of this. So there's let's talk Paladin now. All right. So Paladin has 8 in Classic WoW, 8 fucking viable PvP specs. All right, so one of them is they go down here. I'm just trying to get some points in. They go all the way down here and they pick up like Holy Shock, and then they go over here and they dick around in the Ret tree and they pick up Seal of Command. How many spare points left? 32, 13. Yeah, I think we pick up this and we get like try to get like 3 in these. Maybe get rid of that and 3 here. Okay, good. Right. So spec number 1. Would be a spec like this. And the whole idea behind this is you're a Holy Shock Paladin, but you're also Seal of Commanding, and this synergizes extremely well with the tier sets that I mentioned, Die a Horrible Death in TBC. So like your tier 2 set, this synergizes extremely well with that. Avengers, this synergizes extremely well with that. You know, gear that has got a critical strike, strength, spell power, intellect, good shit, right? All that gear goes away in TBC, and so this spec dies a horrible death. The other example that I wanted to mention was optimization, right? The reason why I don't talk much about this spec on my channel is this spec actually it performs worse than the Holy Reckoning spec. And if I had to give it like a percentage, like I haven't actually sat down and crunched the numbers, there's way too much nuance here. I want to reset the talent points. How the hell do I do that? Got a reset button here? Until I haven't been here in a while. Holy crap. Refresh. It's I would guess that it's about 10% less optimal than Holy Reckoning. Like there's some things to love about this spec over Holy Reckoning. There are some things to hate about this spec over Holy Reckoning. However, it's perfectly viable in the PvP system in Classic World of Warcraft because it's not asking you to be at the tippy top of your combat performance in order to rank or to even have a good time, if that makes any sense. So, unlike Arena. So, for example, if Arena existed in Classic World of Warcraft, you would not be seeing this spec over Holy Reckoning because Holy Reckoning is technically a superior spec for a variety of reasons. One second, let me take a drink of water. Now, I don't mind the Arena changing things a little bit, right? I mean, that's just kind of the price of you paying business, or that's the cost of you kind of having an Arena system in general. If Arena system was more about, like, you know, honor gains and stuff like that and blah, 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 I guess people would still be a little psychotic about its optimization and blah, 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 blah. But it's the fact that the gear doesn't exist. So that's like one spec that dies a horrible death because there is no fucking gear in Classic TBC to support it. All right, so that's one that dies horribly. The other one that's in the Holy Tree is Holy Shock spec. Okay, that one actually survives because they've super optimized it, and it's actually really powerful in TBC. Another class that dies a horrible death is your Holy Reckoning spec. No, we don't want that. That's not good. And then the rest of your talent points go into Holy over here. Holy Reckoning dies a horrible death because, number one, the gear actually doesn't exist to support it. So, again, the type of gear that Holy Reckoning wants is it wants that Avenger set, it wants that Tier 2 set, it wants that Rank 14 set. So, literally, the difference is it's like Tier 2 has no critical strike rating, but it's got spell power and it's got sustaining stats. Avenger's gear has a melee critical strike. It's got spell power, and then it's got a bunch of melee stats. So that synergizes really well with the spec we just showed you. It's not half bad for Holy Reckoning. Tier 2 could arguably be better for Holy Reckoning. All right, the rank 14 gear is, it has even less spell power. So if you were thinking to yourself, it's like, I don't really want spell power, but I want to, like, have a bunch of, like, you know, stats and stamina and all that kind of stuff, then the rank gear is basically your flavor. Anyways, the gear in TBC does not exist to support Reckoning. One second, let me pause the video real fast. All right, let's continue our rant. Okay, so what was I saying? I'm saying Classic WoW doesn't support Reckoning. Yeah. So the reason why you want spell power gear on your Reckoning Paladin predominantly is because spell power gear, it increases your healing capabilities. Like, you're actually going quite deep into the Holy Tree. You're picking up stuff like this. You're going here. You're picking up this. You're going 5 out of 5. You're picking up Illumination, blah, 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 right? So you're kind of this weird rope-a-dope paladin. You win a lot of your fights by being super tanky and using healing to basically sustain through and win the day. So spell power is actually really important because it both augments your DPS capabilities. 1 second here. I actually got to go do something. The hell's the video? Orbs? Okay, here we go. Okay, if we can avoid any more interruptions. All right, what was I talking about? Right, why you want spell power on your Reckoning build. Mainly it's because you don't have Seal of Command, which means critical strike, things like critical strike, and then like melee attack damage doesn't super scale well with you. You're using Seal of Righteousness, which scales better with spell power. You're more of a sustain class, which likes to heal yourself, which also scales with spell power. There's just a lot here that scales better with spell power than melee stats, but you are still a melee class, which means you actually want melee stats. You can kind of do if you were given gear that had no melee stats in Classic WoW and was just pure spell power, which you can actually get your hands on in Classic World of Warcraft, you wouldn't be using a two-handed weapon with this spec. You would be using a one-handed weapon with this spec, which makes Reckoning pretty much useless, right? But with the melee stats, you're allowed to lean into Reckoning more with a two-handed melee weapon. So there's actually technically two different specs for Holy Reckoning. That synergize really well with the gear options that are available in Classic World of Warcraft. So if we're keeping count, we got two holy specs, and then we have Reckoning, which technically splits into two different variants. You can go into a more one-handed time on target spell power based spec, or you could go for a more two-handed jack of all trades. You know, I want spell power, I want critical strike rating, I want melee attack stats, aka Avengers and tier 2, and your rank gear, all that kind of stuff. And you get to season it to your taste as a paladin with the gear that is available. So, for example, the tier 2 gear has no critical strike rating, but it's got a lot of spell power. The Avengers doesn't have any. Avengers picks up melee critical strike, but it tends to have it's also got spell power, but it actually has less spell power than the tier 2, and it's got a little bit less it's got less sustaining stats than the tier 2. Like the tier 2 comes with some spirit, which is actually a thing for paladins because we are auto attack Andes, which means we've got a lot of spirit ticks. It's got more intellect on it. It's got some good sustaining stats. Resists, stuff like that. So, but if you're super not into spell power on your gear, then your rank 14 gear, or no, not rank 14, rank 13 gear in Classic World of Warcraft has got your back. That gear has almost no fucking spell power on it whatsoever, but it's got melee stats, and it's got melee crit, and it's got intellect, and it's like, what the fuck is spirit? So you get to literally season it to your taste. You know, you're always going to have spell power on your gear, which might be a dead stat for you as technically as certain variants of the paladin, which we'll talk about next. But you still get to like pick your flavor, right? It's like, hey, do you want like a little bit of ice cream with your pie, or do you want a lot of ice cream with your pie? Kind of a thing in Classic World of Warcraft, because you are in an ocean of different gear. So we've got two different holy specs. We've got two different Reckoning specs. Three of them are dead so far. Then I really want to find the reset button. Is there seriously no reset? It should be like, oh, hello? Oh, okay. Then you have, let's try to put this together. Reckoning actually does go sword and board, I do believe. Yes. Okay. So what that might be, nah, I'll still take that. That's fine. No, we don't actually take that. Talrain says no. No, we want 5 here. We want 1 here. We want no. Not probably not 2 there. Definitely take an eye for an eye. 1, 2. I'm not really sure where the extra points go. I don't think I got many points left. Get this, that. Oh right, they actually pick up some points in Vengeance, don't they? I don't know where I'm putting these points. Here, there. Ugh. Anyways, oh, what am I talking about, man? Go over to Divine Strength. What the hell are we doing over here? What are we doing? Yeah, there we go. Whatever. Something like this. Eye for an eye. Boom. Eye for an eye. Conviction. You got your Reckoning. You got your stun on a shorter cooldown, and you're pretty well maximized in your DPS. These are technically dead points. You could probably put them someplace else. Blah 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 blah. Okay, so let's talk Reckoning. So, Reckoning, it wants a completely different gear than everything that we've just talked about. So, the 4 Paladin specs that we just talked about want fucking spell power, right? They want either straight up spell power, and they don't want really no melee stats, or they want a mix of melee stats and spell power seasoned to taste, right? Reckoning does not actually like spell power at all. It's got 2 abilities that synergize very, very well in Seal of Command and Reckoning that synergize with, like, you know, attack power and critical strike and stuff like that. So they gear like an arms warrior. And even though it's a little difficult to get the gear, right? It gets easier for them when Avengers come out, because Avengers is a decent set as far as physical damage is concerned. But they have to fight, you know, the rogues, and they got to fight the warriors for the gear that Reckoning works. But it is one of the premier PvP specs in classic World of Warcraft. Now, does this spec die a horrible death in TBC because of the limited gear pool? The answer is technically no. The reason why because the gear actually exists in TBC, and it's even more well optimized in TBC for Reckoning. What happens in TBC, however, is that they change Reckoning significantly, and they actually change it enough so that Reckoning kind of dies a horrible death. Like, it remains to be seen if it's a thing in TBC or if it's not a thing in TBC. It's just, she's in a really weird state. But for the most part, the TBC private server community says, no, Reckoning is not a thing. Get fucked. So for the most part, we assume that we are getting fucked. So this thing dies but in TBC, but it's not necessarily due to the gear. Okay, it's due to a change to Reckoning specifically, and the fact that Deep Retribution picks up Crusader Strike. And Deep Retribution has a lot of, and yeah, blah, 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 blah. So, but anyways, that's just another dead spec. So Reckoning dies horribly. Then, so what was that? We got like four from these guys. So we're up to 5. There's going to be like, no, there was actually 2 here, 1 here. Yeah, we're at 5. There's going to be like 2 Retribution Paladins. I feel like I'm missing 1 Paladin spec, and it really bothers me. There's going to be 2 Deep Ret specs. All right, so let me try to fill out a... I'm just going to put points randomly. Please don't look at me, blah, 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 blah. Right, so there's like a Deep Ret spec that bothers to get itself down here and pick up stuff like that. It says fuck healing. And then there's another one that goes down here and picks up spiritual focus, that kind of stuff. Or maybe we strip the points out of here and we go like here or something like that, right? So in classic World of Warcraft, there are 2 Retribution specs. Retribution spec number 1 is like a pure warrior build. You might see S-Fan play this kind of stuff, especially in like early, but primarily like before Avengers. You're kind of going this route. And basically, you're gearing like a warrior, and you're playing like a warrior, and you don't really have any healing capability in combat, but you tend to use grenades to heal. You use things like Repent to try to get the heals out. If you watch Drakova versus Venruki, you can really see the play style of how you're able to heal off the grenades and off the Repents, and so you don't really need the spell power gear or spiritual focus, and blah, 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 blah. So that's 1 spec. That spec is the one that is catered to in TBC with the gear and the talents, and therefore it still exists. The one that dies horribly, the Retribution spec that dies horribly, and if you were a big fan of it in TBC, I mean Classic WoW, and then you're moving to TBC, you might be really salty and sad about, is like the spell power hybrid Deep Ret spec. So again, it comes back to the fact that this is one that the gear doesn't exist. So your tier 2 doesn't exist, your Avengers doesn't exist, your rank gear doesn't exist. Your strength, critical strike, stamina, intellect, spell power gear does not exist in TBC, and you cannot replicate it. You can't replicate it. It's not that it just doesn't exist. You can't fucking replicate it. These are your options, boys. These are your fucking options. Go have fun. Theoretically, what you can do is you can take like some... you can get stuff like the strength, crit, resilience gear, the stamina here, obviously, and then you can mix it with like spell power. What is it like? Yeah, spell crit, resilience, spell power, or plus healing gear. You could mix the 2 and try to get some synergy going there. But the fact of the matter is, the spell crit is basically a massive dead stat on that particular spec, and it's super unoptimized. It's just ugh. It's complete garbo because the gear does not exist to really sustain it. There's also some changes in TBC that super duper hurt it. So for example, I won't go to the weeds on that one. Let's just stick to the broad topic here. So what this Retribution Paladin basically likes to do is he's more of the sustain version of the Paladin, and he's the one who's jousting with you and looking at what the RNG is like and seeing if he wants to pull the trigger on some offense, and he might be backing away and healing himself a bit. Like, you know, this Paladin has enough healing and sustainability and spell power that he's got multiple life bars, and so he can really... he can work you over, whereas the warrior variant that can't really heal too well is kind of all in, right? Like, he might be able to heal himself like twice from repent and bubble and stuff like that, but he's pretty much all in because he just has that. It's more of a mana issue. He just doesn't have the mana to really sustain. Drakova makes it work, though, if you could go watch his video and whatnot, but they're two completely different playstyles for the Deep Retribution Paladin. And you can't replicate it because the gear does not exist in TBC to support it, so it dies a horrible death. All right, I'm going to actually pause the video and try to remember what the hell the 8th one was. So we had Deep Holy, we had Holy with Command, we had the 2 variants of Reckoning. Oh, I remember what the 8th, what the other one was. So I guess this one technically exists in TBC. It's so there's actually 2 variants of the Holy Shock Paladin without command. One is like, you know, you're just in like massive healing gear and you're just a heal bot 9,000 in Battlegrounds. And the other one is that you're like, no, I'm not wearing plus healing gear. I'm wearing spell power gear, and I'm going to be more of an offensive, one-handed Holy Shock Paladin, right? Which is something I make a lot of guides for and stuff, the one-handed playstyle. I'm going to be a heal bot 9,000, which is like just the unkillable Paladin healer in Battlegrounds, dies a horrible death in TBC. It's not that the gear doesn't exist to support it, it goes back to those design changes. So those design changes that I didn't want to get into the weeds with the Deep Retribution Paladin and their trials and tribulations in TBC, specifically the sustain Deep Retribution Paladin, is that... a lot of classes have a lot more ranged interrupts for hard casts. So in the PvP scene in in TBC, if you're a healer that has to cast hard healing spells in order to heal, you are having a bad fucking time in TBC. Why? Well, in Blizzard's infinite fucking wisdom, they decided to give druids a 1.4 second cast that, like, stuns the target for, like, 6 seconds with, like, no cooldown. Right? So if you're like, I'm gonna holy light, the druid's like, shut the fuck up. The druid can literally laugh at you for an entire second and then completely shut down your healing spell. Right, the druid can do that. Then you flash over to rogue. Rogues have this ranged attack ability, which consumes all the combo points on the target, and it interrupts and locks their spell school of magic. It's a deadly throw, and you won't find it in the talent tree. You won't find it in It's on the gloves of their gladiator set. It says that not only can you do this ranged attack that does damage, but it also interrupts spell schools. And then they can do these extra annoying shits where they can vanish, premeditate, put like 2 more combo points on you and do it again. And if they want to like preparation? Yeah. They can prep, vanish, pre-med all over again. So basically, how it works is this. If you're trying to heal yourself against a rogue in melee, it's not going to work. He's going to shut you down, right? That's the same in Classic. But now when the rogue runs the fuck away from you, he's got up to 3 ranged go fuck your healing for 3-second abilities. Okay? Now, a lot of rogues won't do that. At most, they'll probably use 2, but the fact that they still have 2 that they can use at range is messed the fuck up. which means that they can literally be in melee and shutting one guy's spellcasting down, while at the same time, like, chucking daggers at the other guy and shutting their spellcast down to an extent. So basically, it's a bad time. The rogues now have a ranged ability to shut down healing. It's a little circumstantial, right? They can't do it all the time, but they can do it enough that as a paladin, you're going to hate your fucking life. Then you have who else? Who else can CC and TBC that couldn't do it? There's one other class. I can't remember what. Oh, well, it's like, yeah, Warlocks are now throwing around fears at like a 1.2 second cast, which is just outspeeding your heals to a spectacular and alarming degree. I want to think. There's like one other class in TBC that is now giving you the middle finger that wasn't giving you the middle finger before. But anyways, what this means is like hard casting heals are really hard to get off, which is why when you look at like the healer tier list, like number 1 healer is a druid. They don't really have any hard cast spells. They can just hot away. And then the right down below that is like your discipline priest. They're super hard to kill, and they actually have instant cast healing abilities, so that's why they're there. And then at the bottom, resto shamans have some instant cast healing abilities that they don't have to do a hard cast. They come with purges and a bunch of other little benefits, so they're not half bad. And then at the shit end of the spectrum is the paladin, who their only fucking heals are hard casts, and they're literally adrift in an ocean of jackasses who can shut down their casting over and over and over and over and over again. So if you go through like the comps, it'll be like Warlock Druid. Well, those can both shut down a paladin's healing. Rogue Druid, those can both shut down a paladin's healing. Mage Rogue, they can both shut down a paladin's healing. Anything in a rogue can shut down a paladin's healing. A rogue alone can just completely fuck over a paladin's healing. It's a bad time. So that spec of I'm going to sit there in a BG and just be a healer, it's supported by the gear, but it dies a horrible death in TBC Classic. All right, so out of our 8 PvP options, all right, one dies, a couple of them die a horrible death because of talent changes, either in the paladin tree or in the in the other toolkits of the opposing classes. Some of them die a horrible death. A number of them die a horrible death due to the gear doesn't exist. But any hybrid class died a horrible death in TBC. Due to the gear just not being really there to support them. I'm still looking into it to see if it's actually viable, but it's not looking too terribly good, to be perfectly honest. The fact that you have a PvP, a couple specs died a horrible death because of the need to optimize as much as possible, right? Going from you just need to grind honor, but it doesn't really, you don't have to be like super sweaty about the efficiency of your spec. Yeah, so like those died a horrible death, and this story seems to repeat over and over and over again. Let me pause the video, and I guess I can't do that, but if you go to the endless private server and you run up to the trainer with just about every class, what they're going to show you is like how many specs does the TBC private server community consider viable in Arena. So for example, a hunter, you run up as a hunter and you're like, I want to set as a hunter, and it's like, hey bitch, you're marksman. It's like, you can't play any other variant of Hunter in Arena that we consider to be viable other than Marksman. I don't know what the fuck happens to Hunters going from Classic World of Warcraft to TBC, but you got one fucking spec in the Arena. Warlocks, we already talked about that. You go from 3 viable specs and probably a little bit of nuance in between there, to, no, you're going SL, and everything else is shit. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that hard casting gets fucked in TBC. So if you're like, I'm going to be a Destrolock and I'm going to cast some nukes, and it's like everything in its dog is now interrupting you and just laughing their ass off at you. That's a design problem. Okay. What else do I remember? The paladin walks up to the trainer, and there's 2 paladin specs. You got your hey, do you want you got your holy spec, which is only a holy shock spec. You can't heal. There's not really a healing spec in the BGs unless you're going up to like 5s or 3s, and even then I wouldn't suggest it. You You're brought for your cleanse, is what I'm saying. And a Disc Priest can do it better. What do I remember running up as? Druid. Yeah, you run up as a Druid. There ain't no boomkin. There ain't no nothing. It's just, hey, are you a healer? You know, okay. So I don't know what happened to Druids from Classic World of Warcraft to TBC, but they got one spec in Arena. Don't know what happened, but they got one spec. Rogues. Don't know what happened, but they got one spec. It's like subtlety, and that's it. Got one fucking spec. You run up to the trainer as a shaman. You actually got 3 specs as a shaman. Like they get off pretty good in TBC. They got enhance, they got heal, and they got elemental. They're not bad. Okay, so they get some love. Priest, they get discipline and shadow. Holy is not really a thing because again you can't do these hard casting seals. So I don't know. I kind of can understand what happened from point A to point B there. Ran up to the class trainer as, if you're wondering, let me pull this up while I'm talking to this, just in case you're doubting me somehow. Yeah, that's not the right one. Wrong one. La 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 la. Lol kek W. Yeah, something like this. We talked Warlock, we talked Shadow Priest, we talked Mage. I think you run up as Mage to go see, and there's one spec, it's Frost. But that's kind of not too terrible. Well, I think in Classic World of Warcraft, there's only 2 specs, right? There's Fire and there's Frost. But then, at TBC, you lose 50% of your specs, apparently. It's just, fuck you. You're playing Frost. What else was a class? So we had Druid, we got Warlock, we got Paladin, I think that's all the classes. Yeah, I think I covered all the classes. Unless Shaman? Yeah, no, it's fine. Yeah, just okay. So the moral of the story is here. Go back to our stay safe video. So when he's saying that everything in Classic World of Warcraft that you didn't like from Classic is fixed in TBC,
half the specs, half the classes being unviable, or half the specs being unviable in vanilla, fixed in TBC.
Not true. So what's actually from a PvP perspective, from a PvE perspective, he's 100% correct. Maybe there's a bunch of hybrid specs that have some viability in Classic World of Warcraft because the raids are so extremely easy and nobody gives a shit. That die and the gear is there to support them. That die a horrible death in TPC, and that player base is not going to be happy about it. But as far as PvP is concerned, we get gutted. Absolutely fucking gutted. If you went through and you listed off all 9 classes and all viable specs in PvP and Classic World of Warcraft, they're gonna get gutted for one of 3 reasons going into TBC. Like 75% of them are gonna die going from Classic World of Warcraft to TBC for one of the 3 reasons that we've been mentioning. Reason number 1, the gear pool shrinks and it specializes. And that it's one thing for the gear pool to shrink, and it's another thing for the gear pool to specialize, but it's another fucking thing for the gear pool to shrink and specialize. Because when it shrinks and it specializes, that means it's becoming super optimal to do one fucking thing, like literally what Blizzard tells you to do. Like, no, go sit in the corner and do what we fucking tell you to do. You can't walk outside your box. Fuck you. And then if you try to go outside that optimization, then shit goes bad, right? Like they didn't balance for you to go outside the optimization. They don't have the gear to support you going outside the optimization. The spells and abilities aren't there for you to go outside the optimization. No, you're not going outside the optimization. So number 2 is that, so the gear does not exist for you to optimize. Or the PvP environment is now forcing you to be hyper-optimized. So if you remember our Seal of Command Holy Shock Paladin, I rated to be about 10% less effective than the Holy Reckoning Paladin as far as PvP is concerned. In Classic World of Warcraft, you can get away with that because you'll probably never notice. You'll just take it into PGs and you'll have a good time and you'll be like, wow, this spec is fucking awesome. I like this. I like that. It's got some unique, some special abilities. It's like, yeah, I wish I had Reckoning, but I got Holy Shock. This is pretty cool. I like it. I got some stuff going here. And it's only at the highest levels where you're starting to think like, yeah, Holy Shock, Holy Reckoning might be a little bit superior, but The PvP environment doesn't demand that level of optimization, and so you're allowed to exist in that meta. It's like all of these shitty classes that are specs that are allowed to exist in the vast majority of raiding scenes because the environment is so easy. Once things start becoming serious and you have to literally become a meta slave, then all kinds of variety and options start being X'd off the table. So that's what's killing it. Number two is the fact that the arena exists, right? Arena is demanding a hyper optimization, and therefore other certain specs are just not making the cut. And then of course the third and final one is they made little changes to certain classes that had unforeseen consequences. For example, TBC Classic WoW, you can get away with hard casting heals. In TBC, you can absolutely not get away with hard casting heals. It's a completely different environment, if that makes any sense. Like in Classic World of Warcraft, as a paladin, if a rogue jumps on you and he's not letting you heal, you can tell him to shut the fuck up for 6 seconds while you start healing, because they don't have a PvP trinket that removes their stun. But in TBC, they're just going to trinket out of the stun and laugh at you for like the next 90 seconds. And not let you heal, and that's if they're in melee. And if they're out of melee, the rogue can also tell you to shut the fuck up a few times in your healing at range, which is absolutely ridiculous. Somebody gave the druids a fucking ability to just shut down all instant cast heals in the game, and I swear to God, there's some other class, I can't remember off the top of my head, that is also cancerous ass as far as shutting down spell casting of that nature. Ugh. Anyways, yeah, so dying horrible deaths all over the place. So stay safe is 100% wrong when it comes to and he goes on to say that like the PvP system is fixed in TBC, and he's not wrong in his statement. It's like the ranking gear grind system is complete dog shit compared to what it is in TBC, right? Arena is theoretically a much superior way to get your gear. The problem, of course, is, again, we have all these dying specs. Okay, so what I want to talk about now is what type of player base that I feel like I and others that I guess I'm representing in this video, I know they exist out there, why we're super angry about why we're angry about not having Fresh Classic, why we're probably not interested in TBC at all. I know I'm not now. So what I was thinking to myself, but before the BlizzCon, I basically said there's not going to be any Fresh Classic. I'm still hoping they change their mind, but I'm going to bitch at them until they do. Or I'm going to have to go play on a fucking private server, apparently, which has got its own goddamn issues. Make sure I'm still recording here. Holy crap. Yeah, 52 minutes. Holy shit. What did I want to talk about? Private server dying. Representing the base. That kind of stuff. Yeah, brain died. Weird. The player base. The player base. Okay, yeah. Okay. So... and I'm trying to put this in terms that people can understand. So it's like the difference between chess and checkers. I'm going to write this down here. Let me try to... oof, that's fucking loud. I have to deal with that. That means I turned down my own personal volume, I think. Chess versus checkers. There we go. All right, so it's like chess versus checkers. So in Classic World of Warcraft, as far as PvP is concerned, the world is... they're dropping you in a world with a bunch of crazy options. Again, it's just like League of Legends. They're dropping you in there with all the gear possibilities, and they're just telling you, I don't know, you figure it out. and we'll balance it around any kind of craziness that you might come up with. In classic World of Warcraft, it's kind of the same thing. Like, we're being dropped into an ocean of gear and possibilities, and we're stuck there to try to sift through it and figure it out, that kind of a thing. And this tickles a certain player base's. Let's say we're red here. Like we are the red guys. We are red. Okay. And this red section of your player base, what tickles our fancy, what we enjoy the most out of the game, is a puzzle. Now, a lot of different people enjoy different types of puzzles, right? Like the raiders typically enjoy puzzles. Their puzzles are the boss fights, right? And they're very unhappy if the boss fights are too easy because it meant that they're playing checkers rather than chess. It's like, hey, Blizzard, the boss fight is too easy. I like a puzzle in my boss fights, and you've had me over here playing fucking checkers when I want to be playing chess, right? The puzzle is insufficient to tickle their fancy. Well, some of us, especially the PvPers, right? Especially the PvPers, and I think this is kind of universal for the entirety of the... Well, that's not true. There are essentially two types of PvPers, right? So let's say there's the red type of PvPer, and then we've got the green type of PvPer over here as part of your player base, all right? Let's say blue... Okay, yeah. Actually, you know what? Let me pause the video here, and I'm going to actually fill out this pie chart for us real fast. Okay. So Blizzard, in my opinion, actually has better internal metrics and, like, you know, stuff like that and blah, blah, blah. So they would be able to know how to fill out a pie chart. They would have the data to fill out the pie chart much better than I can fill it out. But I think that one of the major issues in the Blizzard surveying data and stuff like that is that certain aspects of the player base that they've lost along the way have not come back, right? Like, I'm one of those. They lost me along the way, and I simply did not come back. And so when they're doing their polling data, it's, I don't know, I don't even fucking know if they know that I exist, okay? But Classic WoW came back, therefore I came back, the rest of us came back, we're here, we exist, and now I'm bitching, right? So we are the red. We are what was called PvP puzzlers. So what we enjoy the most is we enjoy being dropped off into under PvP conditions. All right, maybe it's even PvE conditions. Like, it's not bad, but we're puzzlers. We like being given a complex puzzle, particularly which typically comes in the form of gearing, or the way like an ocean of abilities or an ocean of gear or the ocean of abilities and gear kind of connect with one another. Like, think of like Path of Exile and their stupid skill trees, or like Diablo 2 and their skill trees and all that kind of stuff. There's not a lot of PvP that happens in those games to my knowledge. I'm a big Diablo 2 fan, so I know that the PvP was a thing in that game, but it certainly wasn't itemized, that's for damn sure. But we were dropped off in an ocean of gear and an ocean of abilities, and Blizzard just telling us to shrug and go figure it out. So this tickles our fancy because we're puzzlers. Like, we want to actually figure out how the fuck to solve the problem, like how to get meta, how to get optimized, and what to do. And we want to be playing chess, not fucking checkers. Okay, so Classic World of Warcraft tickles our fancy out the ass because it again, this was the thing Stay Safe was kind of bitching about. It drops us off in an ocean of gear that is like got these like weird abilities and itemizations and like hidden like internal mechanics and cooldowns and shit like that. Like Mugga Hurt, for example, like, you know, druids can't get out of the slow, you know, its proc rate, the proc speed, how it synergizes with the other thing over here, like, bleh, which is one of the reasons I love playing Paladin, because, you know, on the surface, they're simple, but then you crack open the hood and see how they interact with the other gear, and you're like, oh my god, this thing is fucking chess. It's like 3D chess in here. What the fuck is this? And so we're puzzling it. We're trying to figure it out, right? I'm playing chess, I'm playing checkers, I'm puzzling, I'm having fun. What extends the complexity of the puzzle is the fact that we're PvPing, right? The PvE puzzle, the Raider puzzlers have pretty much solved that over the years in Classic World of Warcraft, and they've had a lot of fun both in Classic retail and on Classic on the private servers, puzzling out the nuances of Classic WoW PvE content, right? And you can see this in the Classic WoW too, when there's all the gold farmers, right? The gold farmers are they are in their own way. They might be a combination of flexer and they're also a puzzler. They really enjoy going out and the guys who are innovating the new gold farming methods and so forth and so on. Those are puzzlers. That's what they enjoy doing. They enjoy being dropped into a complex situation that is really difficult to figure out and then trying to figure out how to itemize it. And they really want to be playing chess, not checkers. Then you got these things called explorers, right? These are people who just want to see the content. And this is, I honest to fucking God, think what Blizzard is, right? When I see Blizzard's design decisions, when I see them as a team of game designers. Keep in mind, I'm also a freaking game designer. Like I'm not kidding about this. Like if I pull up my folder here, this is the WoW video folder. Like every video I've ever made for my YouTube channel, blah blah blah. Here's the Dancing Queen videos somewhere. Oh, here's Dancing Queen over here. Videos for my channel. I've got my, I got my things about whatever. I got my stuff, guys. Like, do I close this and it goes out here? Yeah, I got my design, my art design for my game. I got my game mechanics. I'm an aspiring game designer myself, so whatever. I don't feel like I'm talking out my ass here, or more accurately, this is stuff that I do a lot, that I puzzle over, right? I'm enjoying game designing because there's a puzzle there. I do my research. I learn about killers and explorers and socializers and in my opinion, there's this thing that exists called a puzzler. I just want to solve a damn puzzle. But they come in two forms, right? There's like the PvPer puzzler, and we consider ourselves, now from our perspective, we consider ourselves to be superior to those stupid fucking PvE puzzlers because PvP is always going to have way more variables and mechanics and subsequently be, it just can't help but be more chessy than checkers by the nature of it being human versus human. And, those PvE puzzlers are, they're whatever. They're just sitting there doing stat weights and math and shit and whatever, and they're a bunch of pussies by comparison to us superior puzzlers, obviously. So I don't really think like that. It's just different. But yeah, so you have these PvEer puzzlers, and what they like doing is they like trying to solve a riddle, and they like trying to find out meta. And again, they want to be playing chess, not checkers. And if you're dropped into an ocean of gear and an ocean of abilities, and you're not told what you can do and what you can't do, you're just literally told, like, I don't know, you figure it out. You're automatically playing chess, not checkers, right? So they're going to have a good time. And when you go into Classic TBC, the gear itemization is horrifyingly narrow compared to what it is in Classic World of Warcraft. So if you actually go look at the gear, and again, somebody around here has actually looked at the gear, like no joke, somebody around here has looked at the freaking gear, boots and wrists, options. There's leather here, there's cloth here, there's blah 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 blah. I have that other chart over there where I'm like, hey, here's your only options. I looked at everything. Here's what we got. Here's examples of the stuff that we got. So for example, I have items. So notice how I've been this entire if you pause the video and you actually looked at the gear here, you'll notice that I'm bitching that this gear that I have here does not exist, right? Like, stamina, intellect, spirit, spell power. Okay, that's legit. There should be some strength gear around here that's also got spell power on it, or maybe that literally does not exist in TBC. Got some strength, spell power around here, huh? But I think I picked up these where it's like stamina, intellect, and let's find a good one. Yeah, stamina, intellect, resilience, healing, damage and healing. Yeah, okay, so here's one. Where it's actually what I want to say is I couldn't find tier 2 for paladin gearing. I couldn't find strength, intellect, stamina, spell power. So I thought to myself, well, there is strength, stamina, intellect, melee stats. So why don't I like mix and match that gear with like strength, intellect, and then spell power gear? And then when I started looking into it, I discovered that no, the only thing that actually exists around here worth a damn, and I actually pulled out the ones that were in violation of this law, which is the only ones that you actually see around here that you can actually see: stamina, intellect, damage, and healing. They had fucking spell crit on them. Well, a lot of the specs I just showed you don't need the spell crit. Anyways, I'm getting so off topic here. What the hell was I trying to say? Ocean of gear. Well, they're not going to be happy going into TBC because the PvE puzzlers, especially the raider puzzlers from a gearing perspective at least, because everything is so fucking cookie cutter. Like, literally, it's like, in Phase 1, here is your gear, and it's a shallow puddle compared to what it is in Classic World of Warcraft. And then, oh, by the way, in Phase 2, it's just more stats of the same. And then Phase 3, it's just more stats of the same. And then Phase 4, it's just more stats of the same. It's literally just more stats of the same. Almost nothing changes. And so you're literally going from an ocean to a puddle. And this makes it go from chess in Classic WoW to checkers, specifically for the PvE gear-based puzzlers. All right? Now, the mechanics-based puzzlers, right? The raiders who aren't really interested, they just want to look up a guide, figure out what the optimization is so they don't get excluded from the raid. Then they want to move into the raid, and they're looking for a puzzle in the raid, but not in the gear, is what I'm trying to say. So they're hoping that, unlike Classic World of Warcraft, the raids will actually be hard enough that it's enough of a puzzle for them that they can be enjoyable, right? And then the raider flexers are kind of doing the same thing. They're hoping that the raids, unlike Classic World of Warcraft, are hard enough so that they can do some flexing, right? Does that make sense? Because if it's too easy, then they're flexing. They're going to look like fucking try-hard retards flexing over the fact that they can do MC in like 20 minutes. It's like, oh, we did Nax in an hour. Nax in an hour is a decent flex. And it's a decent flex because in under an hour is a decent flex because Nax is actually somewhat difficult, I hear. Not that I've been in there. But telling me that you can do Blackwing Lair in like 30 minutes or Molten Core in like 30 minutes isn't that big of a flex. Stay Safe is correct. He made a video a while back where he said the most difficult content in World of Warcraft was Molten Core when you were in pre-raid BIS. I would agree with that 100%. And if you told me that in pre-raid BIS you crushed out Molten Core in under 2 hours, I would actually be extraordinarily impressed. Believe it or not. So that's a legitimate flex. So there is a certain types of puzzlers and certain types of flexers need difficulty in the PvE content. Otherwise, there's not going to be a riddle, right? There's not going to be a puzzle, so that they can't go play chess, and the flexers can't flex, right? But then there's the guys who are more into the gearing side of the things and just trying to figure out what the fuck meta is and making guides on what the fuck meta is. And if you're in a puddle of gear, and you're literally trying to tell us what you want us to do as far as gearing is concerned, like Blizzard is trying to tell us, like, hey, you're going to do this and only this, and fuck you for trying to do anything else. We're not even going to give you the option of doing anything else. They're forcing us to play checkers in that particular department rather than chess, and that it will be a certain section of their player base that gets fed up and disgusted with them. This is why I'm so upset that we're not getting Classic WoW fresh. Right? Because what happened with Classic WoW is it came out and we were all dropped into this it was significantly more different than private servers. Things had different proc rates, abilities had different blah 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 blah, and so everything was like chess for a long time. So the PvE puzzlers were puzzling away, and the PvE puzzlers were puzzling away, and it was pretty cool. And to be perfectly honest, we're still puzzling away. It's like, and we kind of want to go through Classic World of Warcraft again to see if our puzzles actually check out. But the moment we jump over to TBC, PvE puzzlers are going to be disgusted. Like, there's not an ocean of depth in TBC to a PvP puzzler. On top of this, a metric shit ton of our PvP specs that we enjoy the shit out of in Classic World of Warcraft die a horrible death. They die a horrible death, and we feel like we're playing checkers when we just got out of chess. Like that is literally how I feel going from Classic World of Warcraft into TBC. Like, I jump on TBC private servers, I'm trying to theory craft around, you can go look at any of my other videos. You saw me pull up this fucking thing over here. Clearly I've been doing my homework, blah, 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 blah. It's checkers, boys. Like, it is literally checkers. So basically how it is it's like, it went from me needing to figure out all the different gear options and weird little trinkets and shit people could have, to me not needing to focus on that anywhere near as much. Like, when I meet a Warlock in the arena, I know what kind of Warlock it is, and I know what fucking gear he has, right? In Classic World of Warcraft, I bump into a Warlock under any PvP circumstances. I'm not entirely sure what fucking Warlock that is. I need to know what kind of pet he has, right? Or does it have a succubus? Good chance it's Destro. Is it using anything but a succubus? Then I'm not entirely sure. You know what I mean? How do I put this? How do I put this? How do I put this? The ocean of depth. Right, so now I only need to focus on their abilities. I know what gear they have. I know what they're bringing to the table. I even know their fucking talent tree. Right? I know their talent tree. I know their trinkets. There might be a little bit of nuance there, which means all I have to figure out is the chess game of my talents versus their talents, and maybe like one additional factor where it's like our talents versus their talents and abilities. Does that make sense? That is a really shallow pool, to believe it or not. For seasoned WoW PvPers, that's really shallow. So we literally go from playing chess in Classic World of Warcraft to playing checkers from a PvP puzzler perspective. From a PvP flexer perspective, you are happy as a clam going to TBC, because now you get to flex on people like a motherfucker with your arena rating and your arena gear, and basically just being the best. The problem with that, however, from a PvP flexer perspective is, what if you liked actually playing your class in TBC, in Classic World of Warcraft, and they killed it in TBC? How happy are you going to be to just move on to the next flavor of the month? You know what I mean? In order to get your flex on. A lot of flexers will actually be just perfectly fine. They'll pick up that Subtlety Rogue and they'll be happy with it. They'll pick up that SL Warlock and they'll be happy with it. They'll pick up that Resto Druid and they'll be happy with it. A lot of them won't be able to fucking stand it. Right? So like 30% or something of the PvP flexers won't be able to fucking stand it. And then there's this weird group of people where you're overlapping. You're both a PvPer flexer and you're a PvP puzzler. And those are the people like Perplexity the Rogue. In Classic World of Warcraft, those are your soda poppins, like why soda popping loves Classic WoW. They're both a flexer, and they got some fucking ego behind them, but at the same time, they're a puzzler, so they enjoy being dropped off in a world where it's chess, not checkers, for big brain PvP thinkers. And at the same time, they can indeed flex on people because there's so much fucking room in Classic World of Warcraft to outplay and out-knowledge and out-skill people, right? Not really so in the arena because you're just going to get cycloned. Enjoy. So there's a lot to hate in TBC for PvPers. There's a metric shit ton to hate for PvPers in TBC. The other communities are just fine. So let me talk about the Explorer, right? I'm utterly convinced, based upon the way Blizzard talks, in their BlizzCons, their design decisions, everything, that these people are, these game developers are a bunch of fucking explorers. Now, what do explorers want to do? Well, what tickles the explorers' fancy is they just want to see the content, right? They just want to see the content. They want to see the story. They want to walk around in new zones. They want to see new places. They want to be like, ooh, look at this, and ooh, look at that, right? There ain't no chess, there ain't no checkers with these people. Okay, there ain't no chess. What the? Let me pause the video. Nah, maybe I'll just keep recording. Yeah, my wife I told her to fuck off. I'm making a serious video and I'm doing a rant. And she's like getting up and fucking around the kitchen, you know. You guys probably can't hear her, but it's driving me insane. Oh, God, please just stop. Maybe I should pause the video. No, I'm just really going to pause the video. Dude, when I get in a rant, I don't know what it is about me, but I just want to rant and I can lose my train of thought very easily. And maybe I'm like Cargo's that way. Cargo's always bitching that he's like a goldfish. So he's super easily distracted. I'm actually, I don't know what it is, but so you notice how often I stutter, right? Like stutter, I lose my train of thought and so forth and so on. So if there's other shit going on, it's not happening. So I'm just going to pause the video real fast. Yeah, this is pretty funny. I'm over here yelling at my wife. And we're engaging in our traditional form of oral sex, which is just telling us to shut the fuck, each other to shut the fuck up. All right, let me keep ranting here. Okay, so I was ranting about the fact that I've observed Blizzard over the years. I've played retail, and what are you doing? You just want to distract the shit out of me, don't you? Who do I think I am? I think I'm a pissy boy making a pissy video about pissy shit off shit, and if you come anywhere to fucking near me, I'm just going to start yelling it. Don't throw things at me. Hey, relax. I still love you. You know I'm like this. Yeah. Let me pause the video. Oh, God. Yeah, boys, don't feel too terribly sorry for my wife over here. To be perfectly honest, she's the exact same way. If she's, like, really pissed off and having a bad time and she wants to rant or something like that, then I need to stay the fuck away from her kind of a thing. So it works because we tend to understand the other under these circumstances. Even though she's doing her absolute fucking best to piss me off right now. Holy shit, why do women do this? It's so you can show that you love them. Ew. Oh my God, kill me. Alright, so I was ranting about Blizzard, watching them over the year, a bunch of fucking explorers. Okay, so they love seeing new zones, they love seeing new things, they love doing quests, and they can't understand what the hell the rest of their player base is blathering away about when we're talking about, hey, we don't have puzzles anymore, and flexors and shit like that. So a really good example is probably the worst PvP experience I ever had in all of playing Warcraft over the years was in Legion, right? Because let me build up to this, right? So it starts off in Classic World of Warcraft. You're in an ocean of gear and possibility. So it's a PvP puzzler's wet dream. Okay? Hell, it's a PvE puzzler's wet dream, Classic World of Warcraft, right? Then you move into TBC and everything starts becoming much more pigeonholed as far as the gearing is concerned. Like they start going into primary stat 1, secondary stat 2, blah, 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 blah. They start being very clear what the hell they intend for you to do, right? As far as the gearing is concerned. And it's just really bad. So they literally, from a gearing perspective, classic, you end up chess, going from chess to checkers. I didn't play enough of Wrath of the Lich King to know what it's like from that perspective. But I do know that what happened year after year after year was when we kind of just got used to being pigeonholed, right? So we were pigeonholed into doing only like one of three things, but you could always kind of experiment around a little bit. For example, you didn't have to have like critical strike or mastery as your primary stat. You could gear haste instead of these other stats, right? So you had some flexibility in your options, and there were some interesting things to check out in retail as far as PvP was concerned. As far as the gearing was concerned, again, just trading cooldowns and buttons for a lot of PvPers, especially for seasoned PvPers, is the dumbest fucking thing ever. Unless you're a flexer, right? And we'll get to that. But then we ended up in Legion. And it was like the PvE puzzler and the PvP flexers, right? Somehow had like a war. Prior, like I wasn't paying attention to like what was going on in the forums or anything like that, and it was like PvEer and PvP flexers had some kind of a fucking war prior to Legion coming out, and the PvP puzzlers lost. Odds are the PvP puzzlers lost because we had left fucking World of Warcraft retail a long time ago, as they kept making the pool of gear shallower and shallower and kept pigeonholing us more and more and more. They were like, oh, hey, your talent trees, these big giant fucking talent trees, fuck you. You get to pick like 6 abilities from like, what is it, 6 times 3? 18 abilities. Fuck you. It's like, wow, thanks, Blizzard. The puzzle depth has really shrunk. I'm now playing checkers when I used to be playing chess. Awesome. The gear, you're getting more and more pigeonholed on your gear and stuff like that. Oh, yeah, I remember I was in Warlords of Draenor. Right? Was it Warlords of Draenor? And I was trying to buy from like the PvP vendor or something a ring that had haste on it, or something, a ring that I remember having haste on it. But what ended up happening was I had switched specs from like Frost to Blood, and I went and I bought that ring with my points that used to have haste on it. And inside the vendor, that exact same fucking ring had turned into like defense rating or something like that. And I went and I complained to Blizzard. I'm like, hey, this ring has defense rating. I wanted the one with haste. And they literally told me, which I paid the weekly points for. I forget what they're called, the conquest, not conquest points. Yeah, whatever the points for. And they literally told me, I was like, yeah, the rings switch based upon, or the items change their stats based upon the specs. So it'd be like in TBC, right? You get to choose in the arena gear between like 3 different types of arena gear. 4 different types of arena gear, actually. You get this prop paladin arena gear. You get this specifically physical damage based arena gear, like no spell power. Then you get healing based gear, and you get spell power critical strike, spell critical strike gear. And at least as a paladin in TBC, I get to walk my happy little ass up to the vendor and pick which one. It doesn't matter which fucking spec I am, all the options are on the table, right? But when I walked up to I was used to this, and when I walked up to the PvP vendor in Warlords of Draenor, which is the expansion that I chose to come back for, I didn't go back for Mists of Pandaria, which I hear was actually really good PvP, so I'm kind of regretting it. I was unaware that the gear was fucking would change like that, and so I wanted haste on my my blood death knight, and it gave me a different stat, and I was like, I don't want this. What the fuck? And I think I even tried to change specs to see if it would change. And anyways, long story short, I immediately quit the expansion over it. To be perfectly honest with you, I could not handle Blizzard telling me what I can and cannot do with my fucking gear to that extent. I've been putting up with it for years, them telling me what I could not and could not do with my gear in previous expansions, right? Like literally I'd watched it go from being chess to checkers year after year, and I couldn't fucking stand that I could not have like spell haste gear on my my blood DK because that's not the spec that I am, or some fucking shit like that. Like, fuck you. Then Legion came out, and Legion brought back some hope, right? We had the PvP talent system, so at least the talent trees got a little bit more deep. Like, they started bringing back some depth to the talent trees when in the PvP system. However, when you stepped into the PvP arena, all your gear didn't matter. It literally did not matter what gear you were wearing. They just straight up got like I literally stepped into the arena with 25% haste on a blood DK, and they're like, no, fuck you, you have 10% haste. And I could step into the arena butt naked and with no gear whatsoever, and they'd say, hey, you got 10% haste. I could step into the arena with 100% haste, which I probably couldn't get, but they literally be like, no, fuck you, you have 10% haste. And that super made the game, despite the additional of the talent tree, really made the game go from chess and back to checkers. This is all stuff PvP puzzlers hate. To be perfectly honest, this is all stuff that raider puzzlers hate, or PvE puzzlers despise. That we despise being pigeonholed. We despise watching the puzzle go from a game of chess to going to a game of checkers. We despise the lack of depth and complexity for us to puzzle through, right? The flexers love this shit. Like, if you're a pure PvP flexer, you love that crap. Because then you get to say things like, you know, oh yeah, now it's all about skill, and it's not about knowledge, it's not about the gear or anything. It's just like everyone's got the same gear, everyone's on the same playing field, you know, and now it's all about tiny little differences in your performance ability with the buttons and the way you move. Yay. So for a puzzler, that's not super deep. That's checkers. Like, that's us literally playing checkers. So what what a certain type of flexor really despises is they're not smart enough to actually be able to figure out the chess game, and so they run into a PvP puzzler who's actually figured out chess, like your soda poppin', for example, right? And soda poppin' shits all over them. It's like the druid, like they've never seen a druid before, and they just get absolutely reamed and just destroyed by a class that they thought that they had a super easy time beating, and they absolutely can't stand it, and they start going and bitching. And the simple fact of the matter is that they're not smart or just enough to figure out to play the chess game, but they do have the ability to play the checkers game, and so they keep pushing for the game to be checkers rather than chess. The vast majority of the PvP player base, however, likes chess over checkers. And I'm not kidding you on this one. They like chess over checkers, but they also a lot of them also want the ability to flex on people. So more of the ideal circumstance for PvP, and you can see this in like League of Legends, for example, right? Where there's enough skill in the play that you can flex on people with skill, if that's your thing. There's enough depth in the gearing that you can flex on people with, or you can satisfy the PvP puzzler thing. There's a ranking system so that you can like flex on people to know if you're good or not. That's kind of one thing that the classic WoW is missing. Is there's technically there's no ranking system for you to really flex on people over, kind of a thing. But if you're going to have a ranking system in your game like that, because it will kill specs, right? But it's only kills specs if it's tied to gear. So if you have a ranking system, let's say you have like a ranking system for duels in classic World of Warcraft, don't get any fucking honor from it, don't get any rewards from it, but there is a dueling. There is a number above your head that says you can flex on people for your skill level as a dueler. That would cater to the PvP flexer audience super, super, super duper well. You get to keep the all the complexities and all the lack of efficiency of the gearing in the game. The PvP puzzlers are happy. There's an ocean of depth there. It's good game design is what I'm saying here. But let's get back to why Blizzard are a bunch of explorers and why I fucking hate them. If all you care about is exploring, if that is what you are, and you are a game designer, and you are somehow out of touch with the rest of the human race, which desire different things out of your game, there is a good chance that you are going to steer the game in a direction that will be more to catering towards exploring, and will utterly fucking fail at catering towards the rest of the player base, which, incidentally, classic World of Warcraft shows that you can actually build a game where the explorers are happy as fuck, and everybody else is also pretty goddamn happy as fuck. Make a few changes to the classic WoW template, and then people start being happy. So, for example, if you make the raiding in classic World of Warcraft harder, suddenly your raider puzzlers are more happy, your raider flexers are more happy. If you put in a non gearing based a non reward system based rating flexing system into the PvP, like I just suggested, then the puzzlers, you still have room that enough room and variety that the puzzlers are happy. And then a lot of specs don't die, and the PvP flexers can also go do their thing and flex on people. Right? And socializers kind of take a hit though. Socializers suffer from an increase in raid difficulty, to be perfectly honest. Especially if those raid difficulties are tied to rewards. So that's kind of difficult to balance the whole socializer to explorer and flexor thing. I would have to think about that for a while. I honestly don't really care about socializers, to be perfectly honest with you. They're a little alien to me, and I know they're alien to me, so I don't feel comfortable really talking about what they want and what's good for them. I'm not a dumbass. I know they exist, and then I'd want to go talk to them. I'd be like, hey, what do you like doing? What do you like about the game? What tickles your fancy? What tickles your fancy? Right? And then I just want to make sure that your fancies are perfectly fine, that kind of stuff. For example, like world buffs are probably really bad for socializers, right? Because, you know, you get into a raid, and even though the raid is super easy, if people wipe and they start getting pissy and they start getting depressed, and then that's a bad experience for the socializers. So I can see certain things like that being unhealthy for socializers. 1 second, gotta pause the video. The wife is now in the living room with me. I'm keeping my eye on her. All right, what the hell we're talking about? Yeah, so I was still bitching about Blizzard being a bunch of explorers. So it's perfectly fine for you to be an explorer, and all you're interested in is ever seeing the content and enjoying the world and living in Azeroth and blah, 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 blah. You know, all that crap that other people are interested in that I'm, like, completely not interested in. It's another thing to be an explorer-based game designer and to be out of touch with the rest of the desires of your community or the desires of your game. And which is why, again, you see the subscriber numbers just plummet over the years. Is the explorers haven't really gone anywhere in classic World of Warcraft, right? The LFR caters to them. All kinds of different mechanics cater to them. They get to go explore stuff. They get to see the content. They're kind of happy as a clam. I'm not sure where Preach from Preach Gaming fits in all of this. He's he likes seeing the content, he likes exploring, he likes playing at the highest difficulty of raid content and then downing the boss, so he's got some like weird achiever tendencies going on there. But at the same time, the moment he's downed a boss on the hardest difficulty and he's got that achievement, he's completely fine fucking off from the game. Right? So it's like, I want to see the game, I want to kill the bosses on the hardest difficulty, and then when that's done, I'm gonna fuck off. So in that sense, it's kind of like, well, he's got some explorer in him, but goddamn, he's also got like some flexor in him. But that's not really flexor. That's more achiever. I probably should factor in like a raider achiever here. PvP achiever, PvP flexor. Maybe they might be a little bit of a different animal. You can actually be an achiever and not be a flexor. But you can also be an achiever and be a flexor. Things overlap is what I'm saying. But, yeah, so it really pisses me off over the years. We're seeing... Okay, so this rant entirely started... So I'm ending the video pretty soon. This rant started because they're not giving us Fresh Classic. They're giving us fucking TBC. Right? TBC, take it or leave it. And the answer is I'm going to fucking leave it. Fuck you. Fuck you, Blizzard. No, you don't get to take me out of a world of chess. You don't get to take me out of a PvP puzzler's fucking paradise. Kill over 75% of my PvP options, my PvP specs. Tell me exactly what fucking gear you're going to have me wear, exactly what fucking comp you're going to have me do inside of the raids. Or not of the raids, in the PvP, and expect me to be happy. Oh, and worse, you're not even going to give me the option of scratching that itch with Classic while I go to TBC, right? What I was going to do, because I am a PvP enthusiast, because I am a Paladin enthusiast, you guys all know I'm a PvP enthusiast, you guys all know I'm a Paladin enthusiast. I'm like the only active PvP, the Paladin PvP mad scientist at this point. I was doing a lot of theory crafting on TBC. I was probably still doing a little bit of theory crafting on TBC, but I'm just sick and fucking tired of the fact that we're not getting Fresh Classic. And I'm not the only one. So I was talking to Tal Rain, I was talking to Peaceblade, and the whole idea behind, and again, we're PvP puzzlers, right? So I'm talking about the PvP puzzler player base. I'm sure what I'm about to say actually holds true for other bits of the player base. And that is that I was going to play TBC Classic primarily just to go play Arena, right? Because TBC Classic has a nice system, unlike Classic World of Warcraft, where you don't have to PvE in order to get the PvP gear, and you can just do pure PvP to get the PvE gear, right? So what I thought I would do is I was like, hey, you know what? I'll get my fix of PvP puzzler and chest from Classic World of Warcraft. I'll get everything I love about fresh Classic World of Warcraft in Classic World of Warcraft from a fresh Classic World of Warcraft. And I can do that at the same time while I'm leveling a character in TBC. I'm doing some raids in TBC. I'm trying I'm trying to puzzle what there is to puzzle in TBC, and just substitute the lack of depth and the lack of ocean for puzzling in Classic World of Warcraft. So the whole idea is I'm paying one subscription fee, but I'm getting both TBC and I'm getting fresh Classic World of Warcraft. Fresh Classic World of Warcraft for me would be enough to get my sub fee, even if TBC did not exist. Because TBC is existing, and you know, there's some stuff to look into there. I'm not super excited about it, so I'd spend like I was planning on what makes TBC tolerable for me is that a fresh Classic WoW server exists, right? That's what I'm basically trying to say. I would spend about 75% of my time in a fresh Classic WoW server. I would spend about 25% of my time in a TBC server, and there would be enough ocean of depth and complexity there for me to PvP puzzle my happy little ass away and basically get my fix. The fact that there is no fresh Classic WoW server, there is not enough depth in Classic WoW TBC. It's fucking checkers compared to chess, and I'm not having it. So, like the title of this video suggests, this is the #1 reason why I will not be... Blizzard is not getting my sub fee for TBC alone. It's not happening. It ain't fucking happening. I've been on the private servers. I've looked at the depth of the PvP. I've thought about it for a few days, and I'm like, there's nothing here. There's nothing here because the gear isn't really there. I'm only messing around with talents and then like lines of play at most. I'm not interested. Leveling around in TBC would be probably pretty fun, seeing Outland again. But that's the explorer in me, right? Dicking around a little bit in TC, doing the leveling stuff, blah 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 blah. But it's not enough. Not enough. And a lot of people that I talk to, such as Tal Rain, because the people that I was making plans with for TBC and a fresh Classic server, we're all in the same boat here. The only thing that's making TBC even remotely tolerable for us is the fact that theoretically a fresh Classic server exists. So that whatever we're not getting out of TBC, that was the itch that Classic WoW scratched, we can go get that itch scratched in Classic WoW while squeezing what we can squeeze out of TBC, if that makes sense. So the fact that they're not getting fresh Classic WoW servers is incredibly depressing. I imagine that the PvP player base, okay? All right, so one of two things is going to happen with the PvP player base coming from Classic WoW to TBC, okay? Either they're going to love it because they actually do like checkers because they don't really handle the chess too well, and they kind of like flexing on people, so they're going to like it. Some of them are going to like it, some of them are going to stay. The vast majority of them that really enjoyed PvP in Classic World of Warcraft are not going to enjoy PvP in TBC. And the reason for this is because whatever itch you could get scratched in PvP TBC, is likely also being scratched to an extent in PvP in retail, right? So this type of player was already playing retail. We're talking about the player base that came back specifically for Classic World of Warcraft, and they found some stuff that they liked in Classic World of Warcraft. That shit's going to die in TBC, right? 75% or more of your PvP specs die going from Classic World of Warcraft to TBC, okay? So a lot of people aren't going to be happy with that. The moment they see that, they're probably going to quit the game. That's what I would do if I was in their boots. Hell, I've done that multiple times in certain expansions. It's like I want to play a very specific type of class or a very specific type of paladin. If the game does not cater to that, I'm out. Right? I've quit multiple expansions. I quit Cataclysm because of that. I quit Warlords of Draenor because of that. I quit Legion on fucking principle. Holy shit. What else did I quit? I stuck around for TBC because it actually catered to me. Back in the day, I wanted to play the Resist Paladin back in TBC, and Classic World of Warcraft does not cater to a prot-based Resist Paladin, but TBC does. So if that's kind of cool. But I already built that back in the day, and I know it to be a little... It's nice, but it's also suboptimal. Stay Safe was saying, and he says in the video, that he thinks that Classic TBC is going to be more popular than Classic WoW. I cannot disagree more. I 110,000% disagree. You'll get the Explorers that come back. You'll get some Socializers. Classic WoW is much more catering to Socializers than Classic than TBC is, because the Classic WoW raiding content is stupidly fucking easy, which means that you can just chill and socialize to your heart's content. The Socializers might have a hard time. And you're in 40-man raids as opposed to like 20 or whatever the fuck it is in TBC, which is the more people the merrier, I think, in for a Socializer, right? I mean, they're a Socializer. They like more people. So PvP puzzlers, absolutely not going to be happy with TBC. You can just X them the fuck out from TBC. PvP flexers is going to depend on what type of PvP flexer you are. Are you like a soda poppin' or a perplexity style PvP flexer, where you're both a puzzler and a flexer at the same time? You want both of those itches scratched, and so you're only getting half of your fix in TBC than you are in Classic World of Warcraft. You might not be interested in TBC. Right? The puzzler side of you is not getting... so only about half the flexers are probably going to enjoy TBC. And when I look at, like, the Achievers and the Raiders and all that kind of stuff, like, yeah, the Achievers will fucking enjoy the shit out of TBC, to be perfectly honest with you. The Achievers enjoy just about the shit out of anything. Your game design has to go to all kinds of shit in order for you to lose the Achievers. And I'm not kidding about this. Right? The Achievers are addicted to things to do. Okay, literally. Achievers are addicted to things to do. Now, they might be... some Achievers are just basic Achievers, right? But then some Achievers also have some Flexer in them. Like, take Asmongold, for example. He's both an Achiever and a Flexer at the same time. But then even he runs into other people who are way more Achiever or way more Flexer or way more Achiever and Flexer than he is. So imagine how bad your game has to be where you start losing the Achievers. So yeah, the Achievers, TBC, yeah, they've done the achievement stuff in Classic World of Warcraft. They're ready to move on to the achievement stuff in TBC. Hell yeah, have fun, boys. Achiever Flexer will probably be happier in TBC. Raider Puzzler, let me think about this. Raider Puzzler will spend some time in TBC, but they're not going to be happy about it. They Raider Puzzlered out Classic World of Warcraft. This is more of a PvE puzzler. I have it listed as Raider Puzzler here, but we actually should be talking about them as PvE puzzler. They'll be very interested in trying to figure out the gold farms and trying to figure this thing out and trying to figure that thing out. So you probably have them going to TBC. Raider Flexers probably go to TBC trying to look for some harder content. Raider Explorers definitely going to TBC. You know, they gotta do that exploring. Explorers in general going to TBC. Socializers, yeah. So the big losers in TBC are going to be PvP puzzlers, PvP puzzler flexers, any version of a PvP puzzler that they can't handle the PvP puzzler aspect going away. So Explorer PvP puzzlers, they'll stick around for a couple months. PvP puzzler, like, you know, Achiever, they'll be around for a little bit until they figure out that the PvP puzzling side of things is a shallow puddle. They'll puzzle it out and they'll be like, wow, this is checkers, not chess, fuck you, and then they'll be out. They'll go play something else. Socializers are probably going to have a bad time in TBC, dropping down to 20-man raids. From 40-man raids, especially coming from Classic into TBC, that's going to be a bit of a gut punch for them. Lot less socialization ability. Everything in the gearing is super well optimized and super well refined. Like, you're pigeonholed in your gearing in TBC, right? What that means is there's a lot less people you have to talk to. So one of the interesting things about socializers is they actually like to sit around. They're often puzzlers. And the reason why they end up kind of being puzzlers is because when you got 40 people and you're stuck in a game where everyone has a little bit of a different idea of what they should be doing with their gear, with their talents and their abilities, a lot of the socializing tends to revolve around just trying to figure out how to optimize your gear and kind of other stuff like that. And you take that away from them, and this is the more I think about it, this is probably not that significant of a factor, but Socialize not going to be happy. I just don't see it being better than Classic World of Warcraft. The big winners for TBC are going to be, like, we're talking winners, not people that you can just please no matter what. You could make the most shittiest World of Warcraft expansion ever, and you would still get the Achievers and the Explorers. Right? The Achievers and the Explorers are still going to be along for the ride because that's just what they do. Okay? So they don't win and they don't lose from Classic World of Warcraft and TBC. The sad thing about them is that the only way you retain that player base is by constantly coming out with new content, new things for them to achieve, new things for them to see, blah, 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 right? So I don't consider them to be the winners, but they're definitely not losers from new content. They would still kind of technically go back to a Classic WoW server as well, because a lot of them would want to see Classic WoW from a different perspective, right? They'd want to be a druid, they'd want to be an alt, a different class, a paladin, a warrior this time around, blah, 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 blah. It's just different. So definitely exploring, definitely achieving, blah, 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 blah. Who are the big winners? PvP flexers that don't care about puzzling. The PvP flexers that like checkers, not chess, are going to be big winners in TBC. Raider flexer. Raider flexers are probably going to win in TBC to an extent. Raider puzzlers might be a little happier in TBC than they are in Classic World of Warcraft, but they're probably going to be less happy, believe it or not. Raider Explorer, they're like a form of Achiever. Just, I don't see it being more. How do I put this? Yeah, I don't see it being more popular in Classic World of Warcraft. Raider Achiever Classic, yeah. They're not giving us fresh Classic, and that pisses me off. But I know why it pisses me off, right? It pisses me off because I'm a PvP puzzler. If you said PvP Classic is coming out and no TBC, you'd probably lose. That's a good question. What would you lose if you just came out with fresh Classic World of Warcraft? So, like Preach, for example, he saw Classic World of Warcraft. He already achieved all of the boss kills in his time. He doesn't want to see anything else. So, yeah, I guess you lose a player like that. But then you have, like, explorers that want to, like, do different alts and shit like that. They didn't have enough time. Most people had time, though, to do all the alt thing and see the alt scene. Again, they're explorers. They're doing their stuff. So, I don't know. It's a bit of a riddle. But what I do know is that not coming out with a fresh Classic WoW server, you are going to lose a substantial portion of your sub-player base. I know you're going to lose me. You're going to lose a bunch of the other friends. TBC is not scratching the itch, and Blizzard does not have any other game that is a sub-fee that is coming out that is going to scratch that itch. Like truly. I might as well go play Path of Exile, because Path of Exile, you know, got some chess, you know, PvP puzzling, but, you know, PvE, PvP puzzling, it's kind of the same thing, got some complexity there, you know, I'm down. So, just is what it is, I guess. But I guess I'm tapped out with anger, so there's not much to talk about here. I still want to rag on Blizzard for being... It's not that Blizzard are a bunch of explorers that makes me pissed off with them. It's the fact that they're a bunch of explorers out of touch with reality, with what the other aspects of what they desire in their player base is. If what other human beings want out of things. It's like going to a restaurant, right? And classic World of Warcraft is effectively a buffet. It's like an all-you-can-eat buffet. It's like, hey, you don't like this type of food, then we got this type of food over here. You don't like this? Well, we got this type of food over here. And some people, the buffet just doesn't have the food they want, period. They're actually very few in number. That classic WoW doesn't have the food that they like, period. But then you go into TBC, and it's like 2/3 of the buffet have been gutted out. Thank you very much. That's very nice of you. 2/3 of the food have been gutted out, and I want to eat pizza, and you don't have pizza anymore, so fuck you. And Explorer, what's really annoying about Blizzard is they definitely understand the Explorer player base. They definitely understand the Achiever player base, because they never fail to cater to the Explorer player base, and they never fail to cater to the PV Explorer, the Achiever player base, and they never fail to cater to the Socializer player base, although historically they have actually been kind of bad at that, but they've been getting better and better and better at this over time. And you can see this in this Blizzard announcement, where they don't give us any fresh fucking classic servers, but instead they give the Socializers, like, the Socializers and the Achievers special classic servers where they can enshrine their shit and keep socializing. Right? Fuck you. So again, they're catering to those Achievers. They're catering to the Socializers. They got the Explorers all checked off. But hey, if you're a puzzler, fuck your shit. Fuck you. Fuck. Okay. There's giving me a middle finger over here. Blizzard, you're giving me a middle finger over here. I don't know what to tell you. And where it gets really annoying as a demographic, right? As a section of the demographic ignored over the years, is you get to kind of understand why they're catering to the Explorer, right? Explorer is a large portion of the player base, and it's very easy. Well, it costs a lot of money, and it's a lot of programming hours. But from a game design perspective, it's very easy to keep giving Explorers more and more content. It's from a money perspective, it's probably the least profitable to constantly coming out with, you know, more and more content for people to explore. The Achievers are by far the most easy to appease player base from a game design perspective. You know, you got to get those sub fees. But they're not going anywhere. So you have to kind of spend a lot of money to keep the Explorers around. But the Blizzard are Explorers, so, you know, they feel some kind of kindred spirit with these humans. I want to call them clowns. I don't understand Explorers, and I want to rag on them, but they are what they are, and I totally... I respect the fact that they enjoy what they enjoy, even though it doesn't make sense to me. Does that make sense? Yeah. So if I was designing a game, I would be like, okay, fine. Explorers, not my primary concern, but yeah, sure, why not? Achievers, not my primary concern, but, you know, sure, why not? Historically, they've kind of neglected the Socializer for a long time. And you can see that with a lot of the things that they've done. They've done, like... what is it? This is turning into a rant about Blizzard in general. They've neglected... I'm trying to think. Yeah, so a thing like sharding. Well, you know, sharding's good for the Achiever, sharding's good for the Explorer, but sharding ain't good for the Socializer. Raid Finder, good for the Explorer, good for the Achiever, good for the Socializer? Hell no. Going from 40-man raids and giant guilds to what is it? Smaller, like 10-man raids. Not good for the socializer. Having this super dependency on all these professions and not being able to like respec your class and all that kind of stuff, like literally having to socialize with other fucking human beings as a mechanic in your MMO. You strip all that away, it's not good for the socializer. Not having dedicated RP servers for whatever the fucking RPer is. Mind you, my original Classic WoW server was on RP, the first RP PvP server, Shadow Council. That was the server I played on because at the time they didn't have PvP servers. So, you know, they came out with RP PvP and we were like, fuck it, let's go. At least it says PvP in the name. Then later they came out with PvP servers and I don't think we had server transfers at the time, so we were just kind of stuck there. So, point is, I know what RPers are, and fuck you. Fuck you guys, by the way. You guys are a special breed. My hat's off to you, sirs. For the record, I do play Dungeons and Dragons. I have GM'd for Dungeons and Dragons. I respect RPers to an extent, but you guys, some of you are fucking weirdos. Not gonna lie, some of you are a little, little special. What's even more awesomer about the special PvPers is what they really like is getting like creeping out people like me, if that makes any sense. So some of them are weirdos and they don't like being judged as weirdos, and then other ones literally like being weirdos and they like the fact that they creep out normies like me. And when you get them in like groups together, what ends up happening is it's like they're the normies and then I'm the weirdo. Oh, I'm having memories about this. Oh, RP servers, RP PvP, man. That was a trip. Oh, God. Right. So, anyways, over the years, they've really been bad about struggling to catering to the socializers. But apparently, they like learned their lesson somewhere along the way, and they've kind of like they're obviously getting better at catering to the socializers. But years now, forever since Classic World of Warcraft, like try to list off the expansions where PvP puzzler or PvE puzzler was a thing, right? And some expansions, the PvP puzzling was there. Like, you know, when you can't figure out how to deal with fucking Kael'thas, because holy shit, that fight is insane, right? There's some elements of PvP puzzling there. There's like, okay, class stacking issues, you know, do we have to bring like all these drums of war? So, you know, the PvP puzzler has kind of got their fix there. PvP puzzlers have been neglected for ever since Classic World of Warcraft. Like, super fucking neglected. And they're super fucking neglected because the PvP community for years and years and years is always crying out for balance, right? Oh, balance, 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 balance. And Blizzard is like, okay, we'll give you guys this thing called balance. And when you start giving the first thing that dies, the first thing that is sacrificed upon the altar of seeking balance in PvP is variety in PvP, right? It would be like in League of Legends if Riot Games? I can't remember who they are. Are they Riot Games? Maybe. Suddenly started catering to the player base for balance. And it's like, hey, I should be able to pick any class in the game and have like an equal win percentage against any other class in the game as long as we have the same skill rating. And the moment you do that means you have to literally target all kinds of balance. You have to pigeonhole your PvPers into the place, and you literally start shitting all over the puzzlers. The puzzlers start getting really, really fucking mad at you. Like they get super angry. Puzzlers don't like. Do puzzlers like balance? Let me think about this. Huh. So it's kind of weird. It's like puzzlers don't like things to be like super out of whack balance-wise. Nobody really likes anything to be super. Like the flexors don't like anything to be super overpowered. The puzzlers don't like anything to be super overpowered. The reason why the puzzlers don't like it is because if a spec is just, let's say one spec is just leagues above any other spec, even though there's like potentially like, there's like 20 different viable specs. Like you're sitting atop an ocean of gear that all needs to be kind of mathed out. You're sitting atop these massive skill trees, but it's like Diablo 2. Diablo 2 is a good example. Since Diablo 2 is coming out, let's talk about Diablo 2. So in Diablo 2 PvP, the king of duels is the fucking Hammered In. And even though there's all different kinds of specs, even though there's all different kinds of PvE and PvP builds, the one that stands out above all the rest are like is the Hammered In. The Hammered In is pretty much considered king shit in duels. He's pretty much considered king shit in PvE. There's only a few things that other things can do better than the Hammered in Diablo 2. There's a reason why this bothers puzzlers. It bothers flexors, obviously, because they're forced to play this one spec, and if they try to play any other spec, they're just getting smashed by it, and they feel like they can't express themselves. They can't. They're not losing because it's a fair matchup. They're losing because something is bullshit. The puzzlers don't like it anything either, because this thing is so overpowered that it leaves no opportunity for the puzzlers to figure anything out, right? It's like any other spec you make and you maximize its optimal performance, it's still performing 20% deficiency compared to whatever the fuck this thing is over here, if that makes any sense. So nobody likes something to be too overpowered. But at the same time, nobody really wants balance. I think you learned that. I think Blizzard has learned that from Legion. They're calling for balance, but nobody really wants things to be balanced. The flexors don't want things to be balanced because they no longer have the opportunity to play something like an Elemental Shaman in Classic World of Warcraft, where or an SL Warlock in Classic World of Warcraft, or a Rogue in Classic World of Warcraft, where your class is technically overpowered, and therefore you can actually go and flex on people, but you're not so overpowered that the player community thinks that you're like, how do I put this? They actually feel bad when they lose, if that makes any sense, right? Like you lose to a rogue, like you lose to an Elemental Shaman, you lose to a Rogue, and you're just happy. I don't know. The flexors are kind of weird. So you don't want balance, but you don't want things to be overpowered at the same time. If that makes any sense. The problem is that the PvP community likes a great variety. They really like their buffet. They're not really into just one type of meal. So, for example, if you make things like perfectly well balanced and it's just purely about skill, then the complaint will become like, well, we need the game to be like a super skill based game. Otherwise, we're playing checkers as opposed to chess. And so then if you try to start catering to it being super skill based, like game, then you start losing elements of your PvP community who can't handle high levels of skill and shit like that, if that makes sense. And it becomes an environment where only people who are very good mechanically skilled players can thrive, whereas you otherwise would be in an environment where big brain people can thrive even if they're lacking in skills. Again, let's go back to our League of Legends analogy. League of Legends, when it first came out, one of its there weren't a lot of classes that had a massive skill set to them, right? Almost every class in the game had very basic skill sets. Like Taric had a very basic skill set. Irelia had a very basic skill set. Ryze had a very basic skill set. Nasus had a very basic skill set. Warwick had a very basic skill set. Warwick was a fucking auto-attack Andy, right? Most classes in that game were auto-attack Andys. But you were adrift in an ocean of gear and an ocean of possibility, right? So the flexors were happy. The PvP puzzlers were happy. The people who want to flex on people purely through skill weren't too terribly happy. But then they had certain classes that they put in that had significantly more complexity. They were more of a skill-based class going on there. Like you had like your Lee Sins, You had your Nidalees and stuff like that, like things that weren't just your standard cookie cutter classes. And those were classes that skilled players could really thrive under in an ocean of classes that were lacking in skill. This is something that you'll also understand from like if you prefer playing a rogue over a paladin in classic World of Warcraft, right? A lot more skill going into the rogue stuff or the warlock stuff or the hunter stuff than there is going into your auto attack Andy. The auto attack Andy is more of the big brain class in classic World of Warcraft, where it's like skill level requirement is like a 5 out of 10, but brain level requirement to play at the highest level is like a 10 out of 10. Whereas with like rogues and stuff, you know, it's like skill level, rogue, hunter, warlock, skill level 7, 8, 9 out of 10. Big brain level, not so much. It's definitely there, right? It's like 7 or 8 out of a 10, and it's really kind of what your flavor is for PvPers. Like, can you find your flavor? I used to play League of Legends. A lot of Paladin players used to play League of Legends. Like, to be perfectly honest, you talk to just about any Paladin enthusiast, they almost all used to play League of Legends because it used to be an auto attack Andy game. And then they kept updating characters and updating characters and updating characters, and all of our favorite auto attack Andys, which again were what we wanted out of our PvP experience, was our big brains to matter, and for our skill to not so much matter, or definitely for our big brains to matter, if that makes any sense, right? I want to flex on people with our brains, not so much our skill, is how you can look at it that way. I want to succeed because of our ability to play chess, as opposed to checkers, not so much from a pure skill-based victory over our opponent. You can think of this as the difference between the player base who likes first-person shooters, that's a skill-based game, versus a player base that likes RPGs like Dungeons and Dragons and so forth and so on, right? There's a lot of brain activity that needs to go into trying to figure out what's the best gear, what's the best spec, what are the best lines of play, blah, 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 blah. Not so much the skill-based stuff. But over the years in League of Legends, what they ended up doing was they'll take something like Warwick and they'll turn it into a skill-based class, whereas he used to be just an auto-attack Andy. I used to love playing Warwick, and then they changed his class, and I don't want to fucking play Warwick anymore. Like, Riot, what are you doing? I'm hoping that's Riot Games. It's like, I'm yelling at them. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? What the fuck? Drakova used to play Taric out his ass. Like, yeah, he used to love playing Taric. Taric used to be a piece of shit class, but he big-brained it into, like, you know, Diamond and Platinum and shit like that. Because again, it lets you flex as a big brain. And then they changed Taric to be, again, more of a skill-based class, and we're like, hey, what the hell are you doing? Aurelia used to be that way. She used to be like a very simple auto-attack Andy that you had to big brain your way to victory. So like terrifying Aurelia players in League of Legends were almost always big brainers because there's not a lot of skill that you can really manifest with her original toolkit. And then they changed her toolkit, and literally what happens is a bunch of people were happy that she's now a skill-based class and not so much a brain class, but then all of the Aurelia mains were fucking furious, absolutely livid with her class changes because she wasn't a big brain class anymore. And they were like, what the hell is this thing over here? The only class that I even play these days in League of Legends, if I even play League of Legends, is Nasus. Because Nasus is the only fucking class that I know of whose toolkit hasn't changed, and he's still a goddamn auto-attack Andy. So he is literally a strut your stuff, big brain style, or go home. Nasty boy. Maybe Darius is still a simpleton. Maybe you can play him over there. So, anyways, the PvP community is very weird as to what they're catering to. Personally, I think they break down... Oh, God. So it's like... The Explorers aren't very complicated. You can figure them out pretty easily. The Achievers are definitely... They're probably the least complicated of them all. You can figure them out pretty easily. The Socializers are not very complicated. You can figure them out pretty easily. The fucking PvPers are a mess. They're an absolute mess in what they want in a game. It's like, and what they want in a game, I believe, at at the end of the day is just to be good, right? They just want to be good, and part of the problem is for us is that we're going up against human opponents, right? So we want to be better than the vast majority of human opponents, and not all of us can make the grade. Okay? Let's talk about PvPers here. This is actually an interesting topic. Maybe I can help Blizzard out of their retardation. Not that I know everything about the PvP community. I don't have enough data to figure it out and blah, 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 blah. But basically, it'll be like, but you have varying skill levels, and you have varying big brains. So they'll be like high skill. There'll be low skill, like people who just can't. Like Asmongold pitches about these guys all the time, or you see these guys a lot in raids where it's like, you put them under classic WoW raiding conditions where there's almost no mechanics whatsoever, and for some reason they just can't handle it. Like they just can't handle. They just don't have skills. They don't have skills, bro. Like blah, right? So you have high skill PvPers, and then you have low skilled PvPers. Keep in mind, the sheer idea that you are a PvPer, right? That you're a PvPer means that you want to be you want to beat other people. You want to beat other people more than other people. To give you actual numbers on this, I think these numbers are coming from psychology and a bunch of psychology tests. And I think this is a Jordan Peterson information I got from Jordan Peterson that was very interesting. That I picked up somewhere along the line. Basically, they did studies on like little kids playing with each other, and they did studies on like rats and other animals playing with each other. And what they basically found is when human children and other like animals such as mice and rats are playing with each other, they the one that is losing at the game that they're playing needs to be losing it's like 30% of the time or something like that, right? So it'll be like if what they found is that if the children were losing more than 30% of the games that they were playing with the other children, then they wouldn't want to play anymore. You follow me on this? So they had to maintain at least a 30% win rate in order to keep wanting to play the game. If they ever fell down below a 30% win rate, then they wouldn't want to play the game. And apparently this is kind of consistent with other animals as well. Like if you play a game with a dog, for example, and you don't let the dog win at least 30% of the time, then the dog will not want to play the game anymore. It's a very interesting observation that way. So with PvPers, they want to win at least 30%. You can just assume that they want to win like 30% of the time. But then they break down into a variety of different aspects, right? You got your puzzlers, you got your flexers, and then it's like, what is your skill and what is your strength, and how do you want to manifest your victories, and how do you not want to manifest your victories? So let's for example, you've got your high skill PvPers, you got your low skill PvPers, you got your big brain PvPers, and you got your low brain PvPers. Small brain, big and small. Yeah, I guess it is small brain PvPers. Small brain PvPers. All right. And then they break down into puzzlers and flexers from there. And on top of that, things can overlap. It's like, I'm like, again, like let's because I actually know Soda Pop into it to an extent, and I know Perplexity to an extent from interactions on Henhouse back in the day and on Faralina. Even though I think Perplexity's not on Faralina. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's not. I think he went with Apes. And Vampire Clan is on Faralina. Those guys are both flexers and they're puzzlers at the same time, right? But it's unclear to me which itch is more important for them. Like, if they're failing at the flexing, will that turn them off from a game? Or if the game depths get too low, will that turn them off for a game? The fact that they really enjoy classic WoW PvP over other iterations of World of Warcraft PvP tells me that it's a really, really safe bet to say that PvPers like Perplexity and PvPers like Soda Poppin are more on the puzzler side than on the flexor side, because you can get your flexor or PvP flexor fix in other expansions, but you can't get your PvP puzzler fix in other expansions, which is why they are classic WoW enthusiasts. So you follow me on this, okay? Sure, I'm still recording here. Jesus, over 2 hours. No one's going to watch this video. Holy shit. I always figured no one's going to watch any of my videos because they're almost all over an hour. Like 50 videos, like an average runtime of like an hour and 30 minutes each. It's kind of insane that I even have a subscriber base. High skill, low skill, big brain, small brain, and then they break down into puzzler and flexor, and some of them can be puzzlers and flexors overlapping in different formulas. I'm not going to do a fucking spreadsheet over here. I'm just going to sit here and talk for a bit. Why did I want to bring this up? Because I'm trying to help Blizzard with their game design at this point, right? I'm sure if Kevin Jordan was around, he would definitely kind of, I don't know, agree with this, but maybe he wouldn't. Well, we'll see. But this is just my perspective. So basically, what I'm thinking here is that the explorers are really easy to figure out. So if you're a shitty game designer, you can probably figure out what the explorers want. The socializers are pretty easy to figure out. You have to be kind of a moron not to know what the hell they want. Hell, you could just literally go ask them what they want, and you'll get a pretty good idea of you'll be pretty successful as long as you cater to what they're asking for. I've never seen any game company fail that one if they give the socializers. It's not like you give the socializers what they want and they find out you think you do, but you don't. The achievers, it's kind of the same way. I don't think I've ever seen an example of the achievers off the top of my head having like a think you do but you don't kind of moment. The PvPers, on the other hand, are fucking notorious. Like, oh my god. One, they're super hard to figure out as a player base. They're borderline incomprehensible to the explorers, the socializers, and the achievers. Right, like these guys might as well be aliens to the rest of the community. As far as like you're scratching your head as a game designer, it's like, well, I really like exploring, you know, and PvPers is a completely different fucking animal. It's like, you know, women are from Mars, or men are from Mars and women are from Venus, like that kind of a shit. And then the PvPers are super notorious for, you can't just give the PvPers what they're decrying for because that's not what they want, right? Well, PvPers are definitely in a place of you think you do, but you don't. So they're a weird animal. So I'm trying to, as a big brain myself, and a PvPer and a PvP puzzler. I'm not a flexor. I'm not really into flexing too terribly much. But I'm just trying to help out. So anyways, game design-wise, you have your high-skilled PvPers, your low-skilled PvPers, your big brain PvPers, and then your small brain PvPers. And your game is at its most successful when you're, and then of course they break down into puzzlers and flexors. Is at its most successful when the class design in your game, but everyone is being catered to no matter what variant of PvP they are, right? So and you can see this in classic World of Warcraft. Let's go to why classic World of Warcraft is a success, or to why like the early iterations of early to middling iterations of League of Legends was also a great success. So League of Legends is probably, well, we're all World of Warcraft enthusiasts here, so I probably should stick to World of Warcraft examples. I just don't know enough about the other classes in World of Warcraft to talk about it, so I'm probably going to talk about it from a League of Legends perspective more. But in classic World of Warcraft, I'm sure we can all agree that there are classes that exist where you can really show that you are a high-skill player, right? So if you are a high-skilled PvPer, the option is available for you to really strut your stuff with a skill-based class. Like, that might tickle your fancy. If you're a flexor, then that'll definitely tickle your fancy, right? Because then you get to flex on everybody else. You get to flex on the low-skill players and everybody else with your high-skilled requirement class and your high-skill ability, right? Okay, so that synergizes up pretty good. Puzzlers are more of the brainer on the more of the brainer side of things. And if you're a big brainer, so like me personally, I am a low skill or mid-level skill big brain paladin. A paladin like Drakova is a big brain, high skill paladin simultaneously. He doesn't think of himself, he's not like a 10 out of 10 skill in his personal opinion. He's like a 9 out of 10 skill in his personal opinion. Talrain is, he's a decent brained paladin. He's not a super big brained paladin. He even complains about it. He's like, with Drakova not being around, what the most annoying thing is, I have to figure out things for myself. Is what he tells me. And I kind of laugh because I feel kind of the same way when Dracova's not around. But what we want is what we're looking for, and we're typically going to be puzzlers here. What we're looking for as a PvPer is we're looking for a game that allows us to either flex or to just be a good, not even flex, to just be a good PvPer, because again, you got to maintain that ratio of like a 30% win rate, right? To just find a way to use my dominant skill, which is my brain, to be a good PvPer. Right? Like that's what it is, especially since, like, let's say you're big brain and low skill, right? Which is kind of where I'm at. Personally, how do I put this? I prefer to win off my big brain than my skill. And this means that I don't put a lot of effort into my skill, but I put a lot of primary effort into my big brain. When I do decide to bite the bullet and actually work on my skills, I end up being like an 8 out of 10 as far as skill level goes, but I'm definitely like a 10 out of 10, 11 out of 10 as far as brain goes. So I like classes and I like games and I like PvP that allow me to flex my strength, which is the fact that I have a big brain. If you're a small brain player, right, all you really need to do is watch videos like mine, or watch content like mine, or and try to leech the wisdom off of the other bigger brain players, if that makes any sense. So you become more like a researcher than an actual big brain player yourself, right? So if you still want to succeed with your brain, then all you need to go do is look up find the big brain people, hit them up, play a skill. And this is kind of what's awesome and sexy about this. So let's say you got the worst of everything. You're a low skill player and you're a small brain player, right? Like, you just got the short end of the stick. It doesn't matter. And you want a PvP. It doesn't really matter because a high skill player cannot transfer his skill to a low skill player, but a big brain player can transfer his big brainedness to a small brain player, making them able to at least perform as a big brain player, if that makes any sense to an extent. All they got to do is go do their research, right? So this type of player, as far as his skill level is concerned, a low skill PvPer and a small brain PvPer, they're still going to gravitate towards a game that allows for brain to win over skill. Because then all they have to do is go find a big brain player, learn from him, master to sensei style, and then they get to go out and they get to observe a massive increase in their PvP performance, because even though they're not big enough of a brain to figure this out on their own, they are enough. They still have the skill set to learn from the big brain and to wear the gear of the big brain and to use the lines of play of the big brain to succeed. Does that make sense? So, if the game was purely a game about skill, and there was no opportunity for brainedness whatsoever, you're going to lose specifically big brain low skill players, because they can't use their brain to overcome the fact that we are in fact playing a skill game. They're going to lose small brain low skill players because they cannot use the fact that big brainers can figure things out to help overcome the fact that they have low skill. If your game is purely based upon skill, the only people who are really going to be interested in playing that game are going to be your high-skilled players. And they might be high-skill big brain players, and they might be high-skill small brain players, But those are the only. That's the only PvPers who are really going to be interested in playing your game because again, no PvPer wants to play getting absolutely smashed into the dirt all the time. We want to all feel like we can kind of we have a shot, we can have a chance, we can actually win. Doesn't need to be 50-50. Apparently, it's like 30% according to various psychological studies. So the puzzler aspect typically caters to the big brain. The puzzler aspect also caters to a small brain to an extent because Lord knows we can't lean on our skill, right? Lord knows we cannot lean on our skill to carry the day in the thing that we like to do, which is PvP. We're going to have to lean on the small brain stuff. Low-skilled players are also much more susceptible and happy with games that have easier content, but the high-skilled players bitch about it, of course. So like a game like Classic WoW where the raids are really easy and then we need to get the gear in order to PvP, we're super happy with this because it means that I don't have to have high skills in PvP. And I mean, in PvE content in order to get the gear. Lord knows I don't have the skills, so I'm happy as a clam, right? And then I don't need, doesn't matter if I'm small brain because I can rely on the big brain. It's just something that you learn over time. Talk about balance. There are two types of PvPers. PvPers that have an ego and PvPers who don't have an ego. And then more accurately, right, there are PvPers who, when we get our shit pushed in, when we get put into the dirt, our faces are in the dirt, when we get absolutely clapped out of existence in PvP, when we do not have a chance in hell, our brain does not release chemicals that make us too terribly upset. Does that make sense? Like, we're not getting too stressed out by the fact that we're getting absolutely slaughtered. Does that make, okay, follow me on this one? Then you have your PvPers who can't stand losing for a variety of reasons. Some of it might be egotistical. Some of it might just be that their brains are releasing chemicals that make them go ah when they lose, right? Flexors are kind of in this department. Oh, going on 3 hours. Oh boy. So flexors. So I've talked to a lot of flexors. I've met a lot of flexors. I am a socioeconomic philosopher and blah, 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 blah. So, you know, this is a big brain and I like puzzles. So this is something that's always fascinated me. The human being has always fascinated me, right? And there's kind of two types of flexors. There's flexors who get really, really happy when they win. Right? Like, they're super fucking happy when they win. Their brain releases all kinds of endorphins and chemicals when they win. This doesn't happen to me. When I'm victorious, my brain is not like, yeah, let's fucking go. Woo! That's not how I am, right? Then there's flexors like Perplexity, for example, who, if you beat them in a fight, especially consistently, their brain releases chemicals that makes them, like, super upset. They're super upset at the fact that they're losing. So they get really happy about winning, and they get really upset when they lose. And these are going to be your people who are almost universally calling for balance in the game. Because the first thing they're going to go to when they lose is they're going to think that it's like the 12 stages of denial, right? Or 12 stages of acceptance? Yeah, I guess. Where, you know, the first stage is denial, right? So the first thing they're going to look for is like, oh, that class has, like, you know, broken abilities and blah, 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 blah. I didn't really lose. Actually, what happened was this game isn't balanced, Blizzard. Then you have flexors like your, and these are the guys who actually win your BlizzCons, right? These are the guys who are actually truly the top of like, Sea-Doo comes to mind, maybe Zyru comes to mind, I hope I got his name right, maybe I didn't. I can't remember, Venruki comes to mind, a few of the others come to mind. When they'll stream and you'll listen to them talking and stuff like that, when they die and they lose in PvP, their brain does not release chemicals that make them unhappy, right? They don't. And this is a massive advantage for them because what it means is they can learn. And they can learn that they don't mind losing, so they can lose all the time, and then they can learn from the learning, and then they'll have an edge up on the other guys who didn't bother to learn from from failure. Is basically what I'm saying. They're which is really, really advantageous. They're also their brains release chemicals that make them happy when they win, which also makes them highly motivated to win. So, for example, you'll see like Sea-Doo or Venruki, they'll get killed, and they won't be stressed out about it all. They'll just be like, "Whoa, what the fuck just happened?" Like, "Wow, okay, what can I learn from that?" Damn. And when they win, they're like, "Yeah, let's go, let's fucking go, yeah!" That kind of a thing. I watched a StarCraft thing the other day. I was like ASL Season 9 or some shit like that, StarCraft 1. And Artosis, it was either Artosis or it was, I can't remember his name. This is so bad. Oh boy, oh god, the other caster, I can't remember. But anyways, they were telling a story about back in the day, the best StarCraft player in the world at the time, who was not Flash. He was beating everybody, and they asked him about his practice sessions, like how hard is it for you to find practice partners? Does anybody want to play you? And he said something along the lines that really fascinated me, like epiphany of wisdom kind of stuff, where he basically said, in my practice games, I'm losing about 70% of the time. And the interviewer thought this was the most bizarre thing in the world. It's like, hey, you just won the World Series. You've been winning the World Series consistently. Like maybe it was July Zerg or something like that they were talking to. And he was like, nah, in my practice games, I'm losing 70% of the time. And they asked him why this was. And he basically pointed out, he was like, if I'm winning the majority of my practice games, like, literally the place where I'm supposed to be learning, then I'm practicing with the wrong people. What was his response? And that is like alpha male top dog winner response right there. So this is why your top of the tippy top PvPers in just about any genre of game, if you go look at them in StarCraft, if you go look at them, like StarCraft 1, StarCraft 2, if you go look at them in, what else? League of Legends, or if you go look at them in World of Warcraft, they've always got the exact same combination of attitude. And that is, they don't mind getting their asses kicked, and they're highly motivated to win. Okay, so they're both competitive, but at the same time, they don't have the negative of they can't stand losing. And when they call for the game, when they say something is unbalanced, I listen to them primarily because you can kind of trust them to know if something is balanced or not, because they would have spent all kinds of different opportunities and ways to try to get around the fact that something is imba. And at the same time, they're not having a biochemical neurological biochemical reaction of disgust to certain mechanics that exist in the game. That makes any sense. Do PvP puzzlers ever really call for balance in the game? The answer is fuck no. Fuck no. PvP puzzlers will hate. We despise balance in a game. And we despise balance in game, because again, it goes back to the chess versus checkers thing, right? Everything is super fucking balanced in checkers. Hell, all your pieces have the same move. It's like playing chess, except it's only pawns, right? That's the difference between chess and checkers. So there is no balance in chess, yet there's still balance in chess, right? So that's what makes it kind of fascinating. The PvP puzzlers absolutely despise balance in a game, because there's not really all that much we can do to puzzle it out, if that makes any sense. All right, so let me think about this for a second. All right, yeah. So if you have a very vocal PvPer player base, and they're calling for balance in the game, like they're absolutely livid, they're angry, they've got those negative chemical juices flowing in their brain, they're getting on the forums, they're blowing up your Twitters, blah 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 blah, right? The Venrukis and the Sea-Doos and people like me who are getting put into the dirt under these conditions, we're chilling, right? To us, it's like a puzzle. We're just trying to figure this shit out. We're like, whoa, that didn't work. What can I do? Oh man, I'll scratch my head. Won't be able to sleep at night, that kind of a stuff. We're just thinking, having fun. The other ones are getting mad, and yeah, they just can't handle it. So then what you decide to do is the vocal, like literally the the puzzlers are having fun. The puzzlers are perfectly fine with the situation. And then let's say you're Blizzard and you decide, okay, fine, we're going to make it more well balanced. Well, the moment you try to move to make your PvP more well balanced, the first thing that happens is you're going to piss off your puzzlers, right? Because you're just going to go through as the game developers and you're going to cut out variable after variable after variable to make it easier and easier for you to balance. And then you're going to eventually completely succeed at your balancing, like they technically did in Legion. And suddenly everyone is pissed off because I'm trying to explain why everyone gets mad, right? And I know why the puzzlers are getting mad. The puzzlers are getting mad because they can't puzzle anymore. There's nothing to puzzle out. Blizzard, it has put us in a fucking box. And then we get angry. And then we don't play the game anymore. And then we quit. And they don't get our subs. And then we come back for Classic World of Warcraft because the puzzling is back again, boys. And the PvP is back again, boys. And then we stay at Classic World of Warcraft for a year. And then TBC comes out and they don't want to give us fresh servers. And we're looking at the situation like, we're not joining you in TBC because there's so little to puzzle. We're going from chess to checkers. I don't want to go from chess to checkers. Is that okay? Apparently not. Apparently I don't get fresh classic, so what do I know? All right, so in a hyper-balanced environment, you can't really balance around big brain, right? In a hyper-balanced environment, you cannot balance around big brain, even though it is probably the best thing to balance around because anybody can be big-brained, right? But again, you got this community who they want to take the best aspect of them that they can use in PvP to win and manifest it in the game, right? So a high-skill, low-brained player doesn't want to play a game that doesn't have no skill. It doesn't want to PvP in a game that doesn't have any skill, right? Because he can do the small brain thing, which is to go find the big brain guys. And Lord knows he'll probably end up because he's got a small brain, he'll find the big brain. You get the point, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of nuance here. But if your game is perfectly well balanced, who's pissed off, right? Like who's mad? Okay, well the puzzlers are super pissed off. The big brainers are pissed off because you had to strip out any kind of big brain component in order to get your game like anywhere near balanced or well balanced. Small brainers are unhappy because they can't leech off of the big brainers to compensate for their small brain. Low skill players which means your PvP system is almost entirely based around skill at this point, right? Because you cut out all the fucking variables. So what else is around there? That there might skill-based brain, like big brain skill plays? Big brain. What if you're a big brain and you're a low skill? What does that look like in a perfectly balanced game? So I'm playing checkers. Right? I'm a big brain, and I'm low skilled. Am I a happy camper? Fuck no, I'm not a happy camper. Okay, I'm playing chess, and I'm a big brain, but I'm low skilled. And I can get away with that, right? To an extent, it doesn't take a lot of skill to play chess, but it takes a brain to play chess. So I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. And then you step it up a notch, and it's like Hunter or Rogue in classic World of Warcraft, where you can both manifest high skill and you're technically also playing chess. So it's like, okay, this is kind of cool. Like a big brain if I'm big brain low skill, I wouldn't want to play that class. I would want to play a different class because I don't have the skill for that. Which is why classic World of Warcraft is so beautiful, because you have these different classes that allow you to manifest all of this based upon you. Does that make sense? Based upon what you're good at as a PvPer. So, yeah, in a perfectly balanced environment, it's almost always comes down to, are you a skilled player or not? And that skill can manifest in a variety of different ways. There's like game sense. There's your luck. Some of the best players in the world just have insane luck for some reason under those conditions. and there's actually a meme about it, where it's like, if you listen to the commentators of this game, like I just did one the other day, and they had a meme going of this gamer, man. Oh my god, this gamer, like what a sick gamer, what an amazingly sick gamer. And all it was the fact that he gets lucky all the time, right? Like he's in the finals of a tournament and everybody knows he gets lucky all the time, and it's like a running joke that he gets lucky all the time because there's nothing else really going on, right? And they see him, he gets lucky, and they start mocking him because it's like, oh, like, you're so good, bro, look at your skill, and really it's just he got lucky, right? Okay, so I'm trying to explain why the PvP community is always crying out for balance in their game. And the answer is everybody else is having a good time except for this sliver of PvPers who, except for this portion of PvPers who get really mad when they lose. Okay? Their brains release the angry juice when they lose. Everybody else is having a good time. All right? The puzzlers are having a good time. The flexers that don't mind getting their asses kicked are having a good time. Unless something is extraordinarily overpowered, right, to the point where if something is extraordinarily overpowered, then the puzzlers will start bitching at you. Because they don't even bitch, they just kind of leave. Because they're like, I can't do anything because this one class is just invincible. It can't be, it solves all the problems. Which is why when we go into like TBC and you start giving druids like Cyclone, like who the fuck thought it was a good idea to give druids Cyclone? Like, who is that jackass? There's a reason why I think they take it away from them in virtually all other iterations of classic World of Warcraft. Who's that game developer that gave druids Cyclone, you piece of shit? I think it was actually the game developer who quit World of Warcraft recently. And he's like, I can't remember what game developer it was, but I remember seeing a video where the game developer was talking, and he actually apologized for putting Cyclone on druids. And as a PvPer and a big brain myself, trying to figure out TBC, I take one look at that and I just want to smack him. And of course, the reason is because it's like all the healers had their niche in classic World of Warcraft, right? Like the druid niche in theoretically in 2v2s and arena is that all of their heals are instant cast and they're highly mobile. You can't really tie them down, which means they melee and even range casters have a really hard time killing them. They are the hardest to catch and therefore kill caster healer in the entire game in classic World of Warcraft. Then you got your priests who have their things they bring to the table where they can both purge and they can cleanse, and they have some instant cast healing abilities, but they also got some hard cast healing abilities, and they also got some actual pretty nasty dots and shit that they can throw around. They have a strong toolkit with a combination of CC abilities, like hard CC abilities, soft CC abilities, instant cast heals, purges, cleanses. They're just a really well-rounded healer in classic World of Warcraft. Then you've got your resto shamans, which they're not bringing any cleanses to the table, but they're bringing like AoE fucking slows to the table, and purges to the table, and chain healing to the table, and earth shocks to the table. And again, you got this well-rounded, they're super fucking tanky, right? You got this well-rounded healer bringing toolkit to the table. Their heals are almost all instant cast, which is a negative to them in classic World of Warcraft and in TBC. And then you got paladins, which are like the literal unkillable, like not even memeing on you, unkillable. And they're like an unkillable, borderline unCCable, especially in numbers. They start becoming rapidly unCCable in classic World of Warcraft. Apparently got a lot to say about healers. And everything has their flavor in classic World of Warcraft, right? Like all the healers have their strengths and weaknesses in classic World of Warcraft, and they bring different pros and cons in classic WoW. Then we jump over to TBC. Like, God help you if you enjoyed healing in PvP in classic World of Warcraft. Then you jump over to TBC. Oh, right. The Paladins actually have some really powerful hard CCs. Like out of all the healers, I think they have the most powerful hard CCs in Classic World of Warcraft. Right? They got their 6-second stun, and their 6-second stun is terrifying. Right? In a Classic World of Warcraft environment, 6 seconds worth of stun is not to be messed around with. But in a Classic World of Warcraft environment, of course, they put it on a very long cooldown. It's like, it's like 50 fucking seconds practically. That's an eternity. Then some genius had the bright idea of giving druids this thing called Cyclone. And they're like, hey, you know what? We're going to give that thing that makes paladins kind of like really scary, that hard CC that makes paladins really scary. We're going to make it like long-ranged, castable, like it's not instant cast, which is a negative theoretically, yes, but it's going to be like objectively superior to a stun in just about every way, shape, or form. Like you can't cleanse the thing, you can't really get off of it. It's just going to be there, and it's not going to be on a cooldown. Like literally, it's going to be on the diminishing returns cooldown only. Yeah, we're going to give that to the most mobile class in the game, the hardest to kill healer in the game that doesn't have to instant or hard cast any fucking thing. Yeah, good idea. Yeah, and so the next thing you know, you go from all the healers are kind of viable in Classic World of Warcraft, and they bring different toolkits, to TBC, where it's like druid, and more druid, and maybe a discipline priest. And oh, by the way, anything that casts hard spells, either from a DPS perspective or from a healer perspective, get fucked. Because now we gave the premier healer, we determined that this healer is going to be the premier healer in the game. And we've determined that not only, and we gave him an ability to completely fucking shut down hard casting heals. And hard casting DPS. Smart, brilliant, awesome, good game design. This will have no unintended consequences whatsoever. But Blizzard learned their lesson. They didn't do it in any other iteration of the game. All right, summary, conclusion. What do I think about all this? I think TBC, if you came out with fresh Classic World of Warcraft, it doesn't really interfere with TBC whatsoever. Any player base, including the ones that I didn't mention, I can't think about off the top of my head, blah, 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 that you're losing from going from Classic World of Warcraft to TBC, you're going to retain by having fresh Classic WoW servers. At least 1 or 2 fresh Classic WoW servers, right? The PvP puzzlers are not going to want to go to Classic World of Warcraft, into TBC at all. We're currently, and you can find us currently on the private server, Henhouses, basically. Theory crafting and playtesting and making videos about the theory craft and blah, 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 blah. And it's not taking us very long to figure out that there is a very shallow puddle of depth here whatsoever. It was incredibly depressing for me to go look through all the gear for Classic TBC. Like, it was incredibly depressing to just know that there's like 4 itemizations that are there. There's the healer, there's the spell power DPS, there's the melee DPS, and then there's the prop paladin gear, and then there's not even any way out of it in like cloth. You can kind of get out. You can get into a haste. One second. Down here, let's see. Melee haste, strength, stam, plate. There is some melee haste, strength, stam, plate. But then there's also melee haste, attack power, agi, int, which is technically the hunter and or element enhancement shaman gear, which does exist on the male. But as I was looking through all the gear, the certain aspects of gear just did not exist. And then I was watching paladins go from like 8 viable specs that could actually be supported with gear to something like 4 viable specs that can be supported with gear, but then of those 4 specs, 2 of them die due to other aspects that aren't gear related. They die to the talent related or the need to be hyper optimized, one of the two. And it's just unbelievably depressing, and it's not fun. Anybody who really enjoys the play style in TBC, so like take for example, people who enjoy Destro Lock, people who enjoy bursty elemental shamans, people who enjoy whatever flavor, like the endurance based deep retribution paladin, are not going to be happy in TBC whatsoever. So you might lose a lot of classes. They would definitely stick around in like a fresh classic WoW server because it's where they can get their fix. It's like, hey, I like playing PvP with this style, and I can't get this fix over in TBC, but I can get it in classic WoW. But a lot of those styles, like classic WoW, goes through phases, right? So you might, just in case these Blizzard guys are completely fucking moronic and can't handle shit. PvP in classic World of Warcraft has an ebb and a flow, right? It's got an ebb and a flow to it. Like as the phases go on, as the gear comes out, things change. And for example, certain class play styles are only viable before the pen gear comes out, and then once the pen gear comes out, then those play styles start suffering. Certain play styles are only viable are come into their own in Nax, but aren't very good in Telnax, like warriors, for example. Once they start getting decked out in Nax gear, they start being a serious threat to mages, for example. And until then, they're kind of a little bit at the mercy of a mage, unless they specifically want to use like a free action potion. But then, you know, it's classic World of Warcraft. You can dig into the toolkit depths for days and pull out a victory. What it means is the main reason why PvPers in classic World of Warcraft want fresh. Would you please fuck off? I canceled you last time and you failed me. You did this. You did this thing. Is the life expectancy of the playstyle that we like might only manifest in like the first 3 phases, right? Or might manifest only until Nax comes out. So for example, Avengers gear coming out is like the height of a certain class's playstyle. Then Nax comes out, and it's kind of all downhill from there for the Paladin. So there. Why do I not want to play PvP in Nax gear? I suppose I should have to ask myself as a puzzler. Let me think. Oh, I know why. Derp. I remember why now. It's because the PvP gear spikes for certain classes in Nax, but it's incredibly nerfed for other classes in classic World of Warcraft. So, for example, warriors in Nax, their tier set is a fucking tanking set, which means that they need to look elsewhere for actual viable DPS gear, which I think, I don't know to what extent it exists, but I know it's there. Paladins are in a completely different boat, however, right? As a paladin, your tier set, your super optimized tier set, right? Because the tier sets in classic World of Warcraft, unlike the other tier sets, become super fucking optimized, is super optimized for healing. Which means that if you're trying to do just about anything else as a PvPing paladin in Nax gear, it's not working too well, to say the very least, because the gear just isn't there to support it. Or the other problem is that you start running into these other classes who their tier set is not only super well optimized, but it's like super well optimized like DPS. like the tier sets for mages, the tier sets for warlocks, the tier sets for rogues. These dedicated DPS classes that don't have any other spec that they are now in. So basically, as a paladin, it's like I'm stuck wearing Avengers versus like rogues that are in their tier 3 set. And the stat difference and the item optimization differential is just it's really hard to deal with, if that makes any sense. The PvP, like the classic WoW PvP community almost universally agrees that PvP in classic World of Warcraft is at its height in tier in phase 3. It's decent in tier 1 and it's decent in tier 2, and then it hits its stride in phase 3, and then it's still pretty damn good in phase 5, like, you know, AQ40 and so forth and so on. But then it starts becoming just a bit of a shit show in Nax gear. And you can see some you go to YouTube, you watch some like PvP highlights and all that kind of stuff, and you'll begin to see this rapidly, right? Where Destro Warlocks are just one-shotting people, and Elemental Shamans are just literally one-shotting people, like, whereas before you could kind of use Burrower's trinkets and, like, you know, health potions and Whipper roots to survive the Elemental Shaman burst, or to survive the Destro Warlock burst and that kind of stuff. And now all of a sudden in Nax gear, due to the itemization and the fact that DPS is scaling way more rapidly than HP in classic World of Warcraft, the meme of you being one-shotted by these classes stops being a meme. It stops being an issue of your gearing being a problem. Like, again, a PvP puzzler, right? It stops being an issue of your gearing being a problem, and it starts being an objective issue with the game. Like, there is no way to survive a Soulfire crit from a Destro Warlock. It'll hit you for 6k. And it's like, you could have Burrower Shell trinket up. You could have Arena Grandmaster trinket up. You could have any kind of buff you want. They're gonna bitch slap you for 6k. And it's like, and when I say 6k, I'm talking like it's 6k on the Soulfire, and then they get to add like an instant damage spell on top of that. It's absolutely ludicrous, right? Like, it's bleh. The meme of being one-shot in classic WoW stops being a gear issue, and it starts literally becoming a reality. And then you got arms warriors who are running around, and like the mages start bitching about this, where it's like, arms warrior can charge a clothy, stun them for 2 seconds, get a melee swing in and a mortal strike, and if both of those crit and you're a clothy, you're just dead. Like you're just absolutely dead, because either one of those has a chance of critting for, like, again, it's a 6k issue, right? Either one of those has a chance of critting for like 3,000 damage. And so if they both crit, you just fucking explode. You're just gone. It didn't matter if you had a Burrower Shell, or it didn't matter if you had an Arena Grandmaster trinket up. Your HP total is, you know, sitting around 5,000 effective hit points, and you're just dead. You're gone. You know, do not pass go, do not collect $200, get the fuck out of here. And so the game becomes much less puzzler friendly. The things that the classic WoW PvPers love about classic WoW PvPers starts dying in Nax. Certain people are still happy with this, like the flexers are still happy with this. Those would be like your low skill, well, I wouldn't put it in terms of skill or anything like that. They're still happy because they just kind of want to win. Like Asmongold talks about this sometimes. He's like, I don't have the skills in PvP to really carry the day, so he's really looking forward to Nax gear, because then he can finally beat mages and he can beat all these other classes that he doesn't actually have the big brain vanilla or the skills to really use engineering and everything else like that to give him a snowball's chance in hell. He's just going to get the gear and he's going to beat the shit out of you with it. And that might make him happy for a week, for like maybe 2 weeks, and then he'll move on to something else. Right? Like that's just the situation. So this is why, and make no mistake, the The community that keeps coming back to classic World of Warcraft over and over again, fresh private server after fresh private server after fresh private server, the vast majority of these players are PvPers and PvP puzzlers, or some variant of PvPer who likes a puzzle, right? They just really enjoy classic classic WoW PvP. No other iteration of World of Warcraft really scratches that itch for us, and this is also why just about every yeah. Before Classic WoW launched, just about everyone that was making guides and everything, was a PvPer, and they were talking about this and they were talking about that. Some were like, puzzlers for the gold farming, puzzlers for this, whatever. I'm just ranting at this point, but I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. TBC does not have what I need. Blizzard, hey, TBC don't have what I need. I need fresh classic. Simple as that, right? I'm okay with playing TBC as long as I have fresh classic to scratch that itch. Because there are enough things there are good things in TBC, right? Like it's TBC, in my opinion, is very complementary to classic World of Warcraft. So, for example, especially from a PvP perspective, because you don't have to raid to get good gear in PvP, right? So you can enjoy the shit out of TBC for its PvP, and you don't even have to step into a raid, which means that you have plenty of time to do classic World of Warcraft where you don't have that option. Or the raids are easy and blah, 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 blah. So the two go together very good, kind of like peanut butter and jelly, or like apple pie and vanilla ice cream, that kind of a thing. But you take away my apple pie and just give me vanilla ice cream, I'm kind of like, I really like apple pie, and vanilla ice cream is all right, but vanilla ice cream is not enough. I need apple pie. So, in this case, that's classic World of Warcraft. So, I'll probably be going and playing other games and looking into other things rather than giving Blizzard my money. Diablo 2 Remastered is pretty fascinating. I'll probably go make some videos and guides on Diablo 2. I'm so pissed off at Blizzard for not having fresh classic servers that by the time Diablo 2 Remastered comes out, if they do not have classic WoW fresh servers up, I will probably still want to give them my money because I'm absolutely angry with them. I'm unbelievably angry with them that they had the foresight to cater to the socializer community, to make these servers that are basically just like retirement home servers, primarily to socializers and achievers, and maybe the tiniest whiff of PvP flexor, and somehow they're just completely ignoring the PvP puzzler sect, which is actually it's all the red here, and then it's a little bit of the green over here as well, probably about like something like this. The graph is obviously not accurate. Blizzard would have much better demographics than I do, and they're just telling us to go fuck ourselves. Like, they'll have some success in TBC right up until the PvPers, right up until they find out that there's actually no real depth to the TBC. How do I put this? There's no real depth compared to classic WoW in PvP in TBC, if that makes any sense. It's going from chess to checkers. Now to be very, very honest, what literally happened was, like, what's a more complicated game than checkers that everybody knows about? Poker. Okay. So classic World of Warcraft, we'll say it's like poker. All right. Super complicated game, really deep stuff. A lot of mind games, a lot of options and tricks, and blah 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 blah. World of Warcraft, from a PvP perspective, is really, really deep. Like, there's a lot of depth there. When you move over to TBC, it's more like chess, right? There's some depth there, but once you get past the depth, it's actually remarkably shallow. The depth is remarkably shallow in TBC. And I'm sitting here and I'm thinking to myself, is it just because I'm like a super ultra mega big brain PvPer that this doesn't tickle my fancy? Like, if I was a medium brain person, would I like puzzler, would I enjoy TBC? And the answer, I think, is no, because what's going to happen is the big brainers are going to come in. They're going to strip the place bare. They're going to basically find the proper itemizations and the best ways, lines of play and everything. They're going to make some videos, and they're going to fuck off. And you're going to see, which is exactly what I'm doing on my channel, and it's going to be painfully apparent just how shallow the PvP is in classic TBC, to be perfectly honest with you. And if you straight up don't believe me on this subject, I would simply point out the fact of how few specs there are in Arena. Like how few viable specs there are in Arena, right? Like you can literally count them. In fact, let's do that right now. I will count them. All right, let's see here. I need a list. Listy. Let's just pull up a fresh paint, shall we? All right. Listing them. La. And keep in mind, Classic World of Warcraft has got like 4 times this number. So, Rogue, Subtle, actually, it's Subtlety Rogue, Rogue. That's it. It's just Sub Rogue. Mostly it's because they have Cheat Death, I think. The theme in the arena is going to be you have to both bring something to the table that makes you viable, and you have to be really difficult to kill, meaning if somebody targets you, if the enemy team targets you with a burst, then it's technically a mistake because you're hard to kill. That's why Subtlety Rogue is here. They've got Cheat Death, right? Which makes them significantly harder to kill. And they have a bunch of other little factors that make them harder to kill. All right, moving on. Ellie, Sham. Shamans get the good deal. They got Arresto, Sham, also hard to kill. Both hard to kill, you know, keeping up with this theme. Ellie, Resto, Hance. Hance is actually pretty hard to kill. Shammy. I'm going to end the video after this. Hance and Shammy. What else did I see on the endless private server? Mages, Frost. No Fire Mage. Fuck you. Frost Mage. Priest. That would be Dis, Priest, and Shadow Priest. No Holy Priest. Or any variant thereof. Shadow Priest. Then Druids. Resto. There's actually like 3 different kinds of druids, and I haven't really looked at what the hell they are. What's it's like? There's like a Resto druid. There's a like Dream druid. Like I'm not even entirely sure if there's like there might be 3 different variants of druid. So it's like druid times 3, but I'm not entirely sure if they're not like I like to fancy that one of them is like a boomkin and the other one is like a feral druid, that kind of a thing. But to be perfectly honest, they might just be 3 different flavors of fucking healing druid, which wouldn't surprise me in the goddamn slightest. So there might only be 1 here, and for the sake of argument, I'm going to assume it's just like there's only 1 here. Dream Druid. When I hear Dream Druid, what I'm thinking of is I'm like, is that the one that takes the auto attack ability that gives a chance on attack that they get their next spell cast is free, and so they're kind of like sticking with you in melee a little bit and beating you with like a stick for some for some DPS. They get out some free heals. Like what? I don't know, but nothing looked pretty boomy to me. So, you know, Dream Druid doesn't sound like a boomkin druid, right? So I'm pretty sure it's just another flavor of fucking restoration. How many classes we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So there should be 4 classes left. Paladin. There is Holy Shock. And then there is Pally. Ret. Pally. And it's only 1 flavor each, right? Like you're specifically like a warrior Ret Paladin, even though there's gear. Classic WoW, there's like 2 different types. No Holy Paladin for reasons that we talked about. Paladin's done. What else? We did Rogue. Did Mage. Warlock. SL/SL Warlock. Fuck any other class, any other type of Warlock, get fucked. Hunter. All right, that would be Mark's Hunter. There's only one hunter. Get fucked. How many classes we got? I think there's one last class, but I can't. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One more class. Who are you? Warrior? Yeah, warrior. Okay. Arms. There's like 3 different there's 3 different flavors of arms. I'm just gonna go Druid Resto, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, 3 different flavors of Resto. Arms. Alright. War. That's it. There's like 3 different flavors of Arms Warrior, but that's it. Okay, so out of our 9 classes, out of our 9 possible classes in TBC, you will only manifest 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 different PvP specs. Some of these are actually significantly suboptimal. So, for example, the Holy Shock Paladin, very rarely will you ever see a Holy Shock Paladin powling around with anything other than another Holy Shock Paladin outside of 2s. So, for example, you won't really mess around with like 3 Holy Shock Paladins and 3s, even though, you know, I'm going to be making guides and stuff, and the next thing you know, this might change. The Holy Shock Paladin meta is definitely going to spice up in TBC, I will tell you that much. But what this means is, as far as like specs you really need to worry about and know about, Holy Shock Paladin's not really going to be there. You're not going to see them in 3s. According to what the community is saying right now, it's like Holy Shock Paladins are in 2s. They tend to run around with other Holy Shock Paladins. You don't really see them in 3s and 4s. They don't mention it, so, or 5s. They don't really mention it, so it's like whatever. Even though I think they're going to be a thing. That's just me personally. Rep Paladins you don't see outside of 2s. So delete that. Boop. What the? Hey, boop. I said the boop. Boop. Oh, what are you doing? It's the typing thing, right? No? You should just delete. Delete button means delete. No means no. Oh my god. Okay. Well, when in Rome? Wow, okay, that was just cancerous ass. Let's die. Why is my delete button not working? Anybody know what the hell is going on? Delete? Delete means delete. Okay, fine. Thank God. All right, where the hell was I? Marksman Hunter. I think those are comps that you'll see out of 2s. SL Warlock, also, those don't usually perform at a high level, sadly. Or they're very, like, they're so one-trick pony that they're really, really fucking easy to math out. There's not a lot of variance there. So what I'm basically trying to show you is I'm trying to show you the depth of complexity that exists in TBC. But I've been talking for a couple hours, so apparently I have to use the bathroom. Okay, we're back. Let's see here. What was I doing? Where am I? Right. So what I'm trying to explain is, and again, I'm trying to explain the lack of complexity that happens and intricacy, how you're going from chess to checkers, from classic World of Warcraft to TBC PvP wise. And again, it goes back to our little pie chart here. It's like, who's happy with this, right? Well, high skill, small brain players tend to be very happy in environments that don't have a lot of moving pieces, because what it means is big brain players can't really get one up on them too much, even though they could go and learn from the big brain players, some of them don't like to. They like to fancy themselves, you know, blah 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 blah. So this environment does cater to certain classes. Anyways, so I'm trying to show you just how shallow it is here. So number one, know that the gear complexity is virtually non-existent, right? The gear complexity has died a horrible, horrible death. And because the gear complexity has died a horrible, horrible death going from Classic World of Warcraft to TBC, what this means is all the PvP specs have been gutted, basically, right? Lots of PvP specs are just dead. Then we get shoved into this arena system where it's the only way to get good PvP gear, right? It's the only way. You can't go and do PvE content and get good PvP gear, which is unlike Classic World of Warcraft. You can go do PvP content and get good PvP gear, or you can go do good PvE content and get PvP gear. Your only fucking option is to go into this system that is demanding high performance in order for you to get your gear, right? This is the only way. That kills any spec that was technically suboptimal, right? Any spec that wasn't like 5% less of a performance or 10% less of a performance compared to the next best thing, they could fly under the radar in Classic World of Warcraft, especially since there's an ocean of complexity, so you could kind of like, theoretically bullshit your way into making people think that it's actually not bad and blah, 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 blah. Dies a horrible death. And then what I'm basically explaining is you might think that in the arena environment, you're going to run into all different types of... There are 9 different classes. And because there are 9 different classes with 3 different types of specs that you could possibly run into in the PvP arena, that there should be like an ocean of comps and that you should see in arena. And the answer is no. If you go watch any arena video, if you're a serious PvP or anything like that, they'll be like, the comps that are good in 2s, and it'll be like 6 of them. And then it'll be like the comps that are good in 3s, and it'll be like 6 of them. And these 6 styles, these 6 comps are always the same. They're wearing the same gear. They have the exact same talent points. They're the exact same comp. They might as well be thought of as a single fucking... class kind of a thing, right? So you end up with like Druid Rogue, Druid Warrior, Druid Warlock, Priest Hunter, Mana Burn, right? Viper Sting and Mana Burn. Hunter Druid, because one of them has Mana Burn, or a Viper Sting, right? And it's just like, wow, okay, there's like a shallow pool of complexity here. Shadow Priest, I think they start making an appearance in 3s, but it might be the Discipline Priest. It's really hard to say. So I haven't heard anybody specifically say Shadow Priests in the arena are actually good, right? It's almost always a Disc Priest, but it's like a Disc Priest that is using spell power based gear, and he's got like 3 jobs. His job is to dispel shit off the enemy, is to cleanse shit off his own team, like, same thing. His job is to try to get some mana burning in, and his primary source, his job is also to be really hard to kill. His primary source of, he's an emergency healer, but his primary source of heal is that he's just throwing up power word shields everywhere. And when you get into 3s, right, he gets to put power word shield on himself, and power word shield on that guy, and power word shield on this guy, unless, I'm not sure if power word shield has a cooldown, like, can you put it only on one target every 15 seconds, or is it like, just, you can put it on everybody, but it's mana intensive. I'm not sure, I haven't looked into that. Clearly, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. But I have not heard them specifically talk about Shadow Priests, so we are deleting them, even though I'm pretty sure you could fit them in 3s if you wanted to. Boop, boop. But Discipline Priest is definitely the premier. Frost Mage will be around in just about everywhere, shape, or form. Handsome Shamans are actually dog shit. They're really good, don't get me wrong, but in a competitive type environment, they're just not... They're not bringing it. Again, we have this problem of, it's like, yeah, we're really good, but we're just not quite there, and therefore it's not something you really are going to see or have to worry about. Boop, gone. Resto Shammy, yeah, he's definitely going to be around, because he is the tankiest, most healiest, bringer of everything that an enhancement shaman could bring, right? So it's like, I'm bringing Wind Fairy Totem, and I'm bringing Shocks, and I'm bringing Purges, and hey, I actually have like an instant cast heal. Did you guys know this? It's this newfangled thing called Earth Shield, and blah 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 blah. And they're actually pretty good on the DPS side of things, even in their healing gear, because of the way the itemization works. Yeah, I can totally see Resto Chamois. Totally. Ellie Chamois, I'm not entirely sure why they're not brought in arenas. Why I haven't heard why Ellie Shaman isn't a thing. Like, I look at them, I look at their stats, I look at their capabilities. Like, I big braided a little bit. Well, they can take a meta gem that causes like minus 50% pushback from Lightning Bolt. Their Lightning Bolt is super mana efficient. Like, why aren't they brought? And the answer more than likely is they're a hard caster of damage spells, and they don't actually bring any real CC to support that. So for example, the Frost Mage is bringing like sheep and slows and a bunch of other stuff, and he's got instant cast damaging spells. In a world where people can cyclone you and fear you if you're trying to do like Destro Lock, burst damage, that kind of stuff. So Elemental Shaman, he's got the same weakness as like a Pally. I can kind of see why they're not brought, but I think there's room in theory craft for the Elemental Shaman, definitely. So expect that to change once the big brains get a hold of TBC. But for now, we're deleting it. Boop. Sub-Rogue ain't going nowhere. It's fucking overpowered as shit. SL Warlock ain't going nowhere. Also overpowered as shit. Marksman Hunter isn't going anywhere. And Arms Warrior isn't going anywhere. Okay, so you got 9 classes with 3 different skill trees. You have talent trees, which allow you to hybridize, so there might even be more specs and more options and more viability there, but your gear is a shallow pool, so that is only designed specifically for you to fall in line with one of these 3 specs. So, yeah, it's not going to be a thing. Ain't going to be no hybridization here, folks. Go the fuck away. Do you see any hybridization here? Let me ask you something. Sub-Rogue, does that sound hybridized? No. Resto Shami, does that sound hybridized? No. Frostmaid, no. Disp, no. 3 types of Resto, fuck, no. No. Mart, no. No. Okay, so there's no hybridization. Fantastic. Notice that anything that was hybridized got cut out of the... Okay, so the gear does not support hybridization, so at best you're doing 3 per class. So 9 times 3, right? We should be seeing 27 different... Yeah, I know you're frozen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Yep, ladies and gentlemen, you have to do 8. If you actually list these out as comps, I do believe it is... Let's see, it's like... Yeah. I won't do the 3s and stuff and so forth and so on, but there might be more. There might be like 12 comps you have to worry about. And then it gets even more nuanced, because it's like... My class specifically only has to... We beat all these comps. We beat all these other comps over here. I only need to concern myself with trying to win versus 2 comps specifically. I'm not joking about this, okay? So, for example, as a Paladin player, being big brain on Paladin stuff and planning for TBC before I heard that Fresh Classic is apparently not a thing, which means that you're not getting my sub fee. Fuck you, Blizzard. The only thing I had to worry about was SL Warlock and Resto Druid. Maybe a little bit of Sub-Rogue and Resto Druid. But that's about it. Everything else was a joke. Pretty much. Arms Warriors might be a little bit of an issue. So it was like SL Warlock and Druid would be a tough matchup. Arms Warrior and Druid would be a tough matchup, but I think we're favored. Rogue and Druid could have some problems, but I still think we're favored. In fact, I'm pretty sure we're favored. And everything else was a joke, right? So out of everything in the game, I only need to concern myself with trying to figure out how to beat 3. And this is the ocean of depth and complexity that I'm existing in. And to be perfectly honest, it kind of works the same way with everybody else. Like, SL Warlock, I think, sometimes gets clapped by Arms Warrior, but they're actually, I think SL Warlock is favored. Arms Warrior, Druid versus SL Warlock and Druid. SL Warlock and Druid might have massive issues against Disc Priest Hunter because there's that double mana drain going off in there. So yeah, it's like the SL Warlock can get off a metric shit ton of dots, and the dots will be super rotting away. Just the soul and the existence of that comp mana wise. But at the same time, if they're able to get a hold of the Druid and just suck all his mana away, it could be an interesting fight. Definitely some play there. But other than that, it's not really that interesting. Like SL Warlock is considered to be one of the premiers. I wouldn't be surprised if Rogue and Mage had a chance. Interestingly enough, burst out the Druid. Hard to get past that PvP trinket. I don't know. But anyways, I'm pretty sure that this story repeats itself over and over again, where it's like, if you're a certain class, this means that you're supposed to play with this comp. That is the best comp for you to play with. If you're in this comp with this spec using this gear, then there's only these other two comps that you really need to concern yourself with, and blah, 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 blah. So you go from this ocean of depth of, okay, like take me for example, right? When I run into a Warlock in Classic World of Warcraft, I'm like, oh fuck, what kind of Warlock is it? What kind of Warlock? Like number one, I'm like, what are the conditions I'm under fighting this Warlock, right? Am I open world PvP? Am I like half life, half mana? Are we in a battleground? Like, what the hell is going on here? And first thing that I have to ask myself is, what kind of Warlock is this? All right, what kind of Warlock is this? Because I don't know. It could be a Destro Warlock. It could be a SL Warlock. It could be a Destruction Warlock, right? And my line of play versus each of them is going to be completely different. Hell, my win chances are probably completely different. Meanwhile, on the other side of the fence, the Warlock runs into a Paladin. Now, most Paladins can't play their class for shit, being honest here. So the vast majority of the time, the Warlock will feel super comfortable. But if it's an experienced Warlock who has run into monster Paladins before, like Paladins that will actually eat their soul, like literally, for example, on Henhouse I had like a 70 to 80% win rate against SL Warlocks, and that was by far my lowest win rate. and we're talking there, and if you watch any other Paladin PvP guide out there, like from a Warlock perspective, they usually are laughing at Paladins, right? Oh, we beat Paladins so fucking easy. But then every now and then as a Warlock, you'll run into that Paladin that actually knows what they're doing, and they got things like Mithril Insignia Trinket, or they just have the right gear to play with you, and they're executing a proper line of play, and you're the bitch. Right, the Warlock is the bitch, and that's even if like they're the underdog in that story, and it gets really scary really fast. So the Warlock has to ask themselves some questions. They run into a Paladin, and the first thing on their mind is going to be, especially if they've run into monster Paladins before, is, what kind of Paladin are you? Are you a skilled Paladin that knows what the hell they're doing, that actually knows how to fight me? I could be in trouble. Especially if I'm a little wasteful on my mana or my CDs or all this other stuff, like, blah, 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 blah. Or if I have the wrong pet out, yada, yada, yada. Mostly it's about how skilled they are, to be perfectly honest, because the vast majority of the Paladins are not very good in PvP at all. A lot of them will be decked out to the teeth, right? Like, they'll just have all the gear, but then you watch their lines of play, and it's just like, oh my god. And the Warlocks are just over there like tee-hee, ha-ha, ho-ho, and just killing them, no problem. But they still have to worry about it, and there are technically like 8 different Paladin specs, and they literally need to fear for their lives against, let me think. Probably 3 of them. 3 of them are a big fucking problem. That would be specifically a Holy Shock Paladin that is using spell power. He's a one-handed spell power, time on target, Holy Shock Paladin. The same variant in Ret Reckoning if it's a spell power based one-handed Ret Reckoning Paladin, or if it's just a Ret Reckoning Paladin in general who's got Reckoning's not really a thing against a Warlock. They don't crit you too much. Well, some of them do, which is the problem, right? Like a Destro Warlock is going to live in terror from a Reckoning Paladin, but he might laugh his little... he'll still get mauled. No, he'll still get absolutely fucking thrashed by the Holy Shock Paladin for other reasons. And then, of course, Ret Reckoning. Ret Reckoning is got the highest burst in the entire game. People bitch about Elemental Shaman burst, and they bitch about Destruction Warlock burst. It's like, no. Go do the math on what a Ret Reckoning Paladin does. And it's like... and those other Paladins are like, I burst. Those classes are like, I burst for 6k. And it's like, I burst for 6,500. And the Ret Reckoning is like... Well, okay, well, I burst for like 6k on a low roll, and then on a high roll, I like 18,000. It's like, what the fuck? So, yeah, they always have a chance. The meme with Reckoning Paladins is that they always have a chance. Damn, can't talk much longer. Voice given out. Yeah, so moving on. Or like a hunter. You bump into a hunter. You're like, what kind of hunter is this? Hunter's going, oh my god, what kind of paladin is this? TBC is pretty obvious, especially in arenas. So the depth of nuance is extremely shallow. And then when you reach for the gear to make up for the lack of complexity, it's not there. Right? The gear to make up for the lack of complexity is not there, especially in an arena setting. In duels, it's still technically there because you can use engineering, you can use all the trinkets and gadgets and whatnot from classic World of Warcraft for the most part, even though some of them are specifically nerfed because apparently they were too overpowered in classic World of Warcraft. So in duels, things are still, I suppose, a little healthy. But the problem is, the gear isn't there, right? Like, I don't have Avengers gear. I can't replicate Avengers gear. I don't have Tier 2 gear. I can't replicate Tier 2 gear. And it's probably the same, it might not be the same issue for some classes, but yeah, any hybrid class it would definitely be the issue for, because they're trying to pigeonhole you. The dedicated classes, maybe dueling environments, not so bad. But BGs, let me think. BG environment still decent, I guess. But nobody's really going to do that because there's no incentive to do that other than, fun. Anyways, I'm going to end the video here. So this was about a 3-hour video on why Blizzard is not getting my sub fee for the Burning Crusade. I'll probably do a little bit more theory crafting as far as my channel is concerned, out for Paladin, try to figure out how to beat rogues, make like a guide here or a guide there, especially once the beta comes out and I get access to more information. But other than that, I'm just not going to support TBC. I'm not going to support it financially. I'm probably not going to support it by making videos or content or anything like that, because you don't get to not give me fresh classic. Screw you. I'll probably go play on a private server and make content there. So, simple as that. Anyways, Deus Vult boys, and sorry for such a long video.